Okay. Um, Hi, can you hear me? Am I in the hello?
Peace,
Am I in the matrix?
kind of.
Okay, hold on one second. I just opened this room. Hello, everybody. One second. Turn it matrix. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Are you mad at Brother Ben X? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Sorry about that. I was in a matrix, and okay. So this room, I just opened the room. Hi, Malcolm Flags. Hi, Captain Kataza.
Hey,
Okay.
shalom, sis.
Hey,
Yes, thank you. And Brother Ben X, if there is I think okay. All right. Oh, okay, Brother Ben X, Malcolm and brother and the other brother are your brothers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, we're gonna get started soon. I'm going to let's spend a couple of minutes to ping the room and share the room. So to share a room, there's an arrow that's facing up at the bottom of your screen. So just click on that arrow and just hit invite people. Once you hit invite people, you see a bunch of like a list of people that comes up, and then just ping, and then also just when you click on just also hit share on Clubhouse as well. We're gonna get started soon. The point of this room was it's been a lot of conversations, at least that I've been can you hear me? I hope you guys can hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Okay,
Good.
awesome. There has been a lot of I don't know how to call it, maybe conspiracy theories that people have, ideas that people have about the Nation of Islam and Malcolm X. And I'm gonna give you guys briefly what I was able to gather from my online research. And let me just preface this with when the NOI was, I guess, when the movement first started, and even at the height of the movement, even to today, I was not in America then. So I want to preface that with that. Like, I was not in America. I didn't see them on the streets. I didn't see how they move. I didn't see any of that. My knowledge of the NOI is what I've read. So my talking points may be very ignorant because I haven't seen that in real life and I wasn't in America then. So please forgive me, and I hope that everyone can take this. Hi Garfield. I
Can
hope
you
that everyone can.
can you
Yeah,
hear me?
hey,
yeah.
peace, sis. Peace and love to you, sis. Peace.
Can
Thank
you
you.
hear me, Sister Kim?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify. As far as the Malcolm X situation, I'm here to speak about on the Nation of Islam. I wasn't there for the Malcolm X
Of
situation.
course.
However, we do have brothers and sisters who, Brother Demetric, who has a book on "Didn't Y'all Kill Malcolm?" I think that's what the book is called. And then there's Dr. Wesley, who have several YouTube videos and books on it as well. So that's why I will be referring to when speaking about that situation. But questions about the Nation of Islam outside of that, of course, I'll be here for that type of dialogue.
Of course. I absolutely respect that. And let me just start with just giving my own brief synopsis of, what I read about the Nation of Islam. So what I know is the NOI really pushes for Black empowerment, support Black people. I've even had individuals on Clubhouse who have told me that when they were younger, the Nation of Islam would take them around to like get food, um, teach them, educate them on how to dress, on how to be men, on how to support women. Like I've heard that from people. But there's also an article online that says the Nation of Islam is racist, anti-white, anti-Semitism. They preach for they're more pro men than women. One particular thing also when it comes to Malcolm X, again, I'm not saying any of this is true. Oh God, I'm not. Hi Nita, I'm not saying this is true. One other thing was that there was something with an individual named Elijah Muhammad. He had, I guess, suspended Malcolm X because Malcolm X wanted to out him regarding some underage dealings, and but it was framed as he was suspended due to a comment about the chicken coming home to roost, and which and Malcolm X took that to be false, and he found out that someone named Louis X, and I think that person is Farrakhan today, was the one that told the individual Elijah Muhammad. And because of that, that led to the separation of relationship between both parties. And that ultimately led to Malcolm X no longer being in the organization. And eventually he then passed away for whatever reason. May his soul rest in peace. That's a little synopsis I would give. I'm pretty sure that what I just said is probably false and untrue and unfounded, but these are just one of the many conspiracies that I was able to find online. Anyone can grab the mic. Katiza, do you want to say something so I can actually paint and share? Katiza, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. So
What do you know about the NOI?
um you want my personal opinion? I can't speak on the NOI as far as internally. I could only give, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
some observations. Uh well, not to take away from what the brothers are going to present, but you know what I'm saying? I believe that the NOI is filled with a bunch of brothers who have a zeal to serve the Lord and to be able to, you understand, and wanted to make a difference inside their community and nation. And as a result, they took a very nationalistic approach, um, which I think is definitely something solution based and that we need. The only issue that I have is, or rather, like what I observed, is I just think that these brothers align themselves with the wrong God. We have doctrinal differences due to the Quran. You know what I'm saying? And as a result, I believe that these brothers had a zeal that they were turning around and they were trying to associate themselves with blackness. You know what I'm saying? And as a result, found themselves in an Arab's religion. You know what I'm saying? And that might be controversial to y'all, you know what I'm saying? But that's my stance and where I stand is that we are not to be associated with any other nation. We are the children of Israel. That is who we are as a people. That is our true nationality. And that is where our nationalism or our loyalties and fealty should lie.
Thank you, Brother Garfield. And I will have the actual brothers in the NOI, of course, clarify for us. Brother Garfield, are you there?
Hey, peace and love, sis. Peace and love. Peace
Hey,
and love.
hey. What do you know about the NOI? Or what do you
Well,
think?
hey, peace and love. Peace and love. In the early '90s, I was in college and I got suspended for out of school for a semester because of some. I played a Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad videotape, and the brothers from the nation came to the school and actually defended me. Never knew nothing about the Nation of Islam at the time. And from then, I started going to Mosque number 7. And I was supposed to recite and get my X, but because the Nation of Islam has a habit, it's just a good habit of putting brothers to work. So they had me working like 16 to 20 hours a day doing security, whether it's a Spike Lee movie, whether it's in a building in Brooklyn or in Manhattan. I used to work security or in the Bronx. So I never got the chance to recite. But with the Malcolm X situation, I'll say this. One of the reasons I wanted to join the Nation of Islam because I was actually convinced that they had nothing to do with Malcolm X's death. That was one of the defining factors of me trying to join the Nation of Islam in my research. But what I will say is this: if you on the outside looking in, you're gonna say the Nation of Islam is involved because the gentlemen who got arrested and so forth, whether they were agents or not, they were actually in the Nation of Islam. Whether they were FBI agents. That's a whole nother conversation. You got to go to Wesley Muhammad's tape where he actually shows who was an agent and so forth. So it's kind of like a touchy feely situation. Like if you're not inside, you really shouldn't really talk about it. Or if you're not aware of the inside information, you shouldn't really talk about it. But from the outside looking in, you're gonna draw conclusions that might not be conclusive to what the facts are. And as far as the Nation of Islam, Captain Kataza is right. Nationalistic. I don't think outside of the church, I don't think there's another leader that has done black nationalistic work better than Elijah Muhammad. You can't. I don't think there's anybody that can compete outside of the church. The church definitely would did more than him, but as far as what he did and his works on the ground, nobody has done more. Um, Otherwise, I mean, I'm here to talk. I'm here. Peace.
Thank you. Let me ask you something. I think you heard my little synopsis of what I was able to gather
Uh
online
huh.
about, what led to the separation of Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad. Was that completely false?
It's half. It's half. It's half and half. What happened is again, you'd have to know like the internal stuff, like the letters people were writing and forging people's signatures and saying this is from Malcolm. You're gonna have to know certain inside details that I wouldn't discuss in public, as far as Malcolm threatening Elijah and threatening to come invade the areas where he was speaking. So it was like an all-out war for people who like one side. It's like you have Captain Katazar from ISUPK, right? And you have my brother Malcolm Flex from the Nation of Islam. If both of them have a conversation right now on a whole different topic, the people who love Malcolm Flex from the NOI gonna say, "Hey, he won," and rock with him. And the people who love Katazar are gonna say, "Hey, you know what? ISUPK took that." So in a situation with Malcolm, you had people who loved join the Nation of Islam because of Malcolm. So it puts you in a predicament where which side do you pick? And a perfect example, which was what I experienced, was with Khalid Abdul Muhammad. I named my first son after Khalid. My first son was called Khalid Malik. Malik is from Malcolm X, El Haj Malik Shabazz, and Khalid Abdul Muhammad. I love Dr. Khalid, but the leader of the Nation of Islam was Farrakhan. So when they had their little internal differences in the 90s, it put me in a predicament because I was actually closer to the side of Khalid than the side of Farrakhan, although we're under the same umbrella at the time when I was in orientation. So it put us, it's the same thing in the 60s. People had to make a choice. Do you love the personality of Malcolm, or do you love the teacher or the person who is in charge of the organization? So you had people just going back and forth and have internal conflicts. They had to choose sides. So it put everybody at odds, which is what the FBI wanted to do. And you see it in the letters that the FBI wrote. Because even 1968, they wrote a letter, not to be long winded. They wrote a letter, said, let's do the same thing like what we did with the Nation of Islam with Malcolm X. So they knew what they were doing. They were trying to form a wedge to destroy the Nation of Islam ultimately. So, but obviously it didn't work. But with your synopsis, you got to be careful with the online stuff, because the fact that he made the speech about and called John F. Kennedy, yes, he broke the rules and got suspended for 90 days, but that didn't cause him to come out. A lot of things played a factor in it. People sending messages to Elijah Muhammad from hearsay and causing, just sowing division. You know what I'm saying? And some of the things that Malcolm X said in public, people don't know Malcolm went to court and testified against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and said some things in the court. The whole firebombing with the housing stuff. I mean, a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of things that's going on that's just adding to the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? So I would say it's half truth. I wouldn't say it's total truth.
Thank you. And then my last question would be, so your one other thing I also heard was Malcolm X wanted to follow real Islam. Like, I think he went to one of the Arab countries. Again, please correct me if I'm wrong. And that's when he saw
You
how.
want me to respond to that?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I don't I think I gotta go back and research that properly, because if I'm correct, he went to Mecca in 1959, but he wanted the most honorable Elijah Muhammad to go to Mecca first before him. So he was aware of white people in Mecca. So I don't know why, if he said that. I never heard the primary source for that. But if he did say that after the fact, that in 1964 or 63 when he went to Mecca. He said he saw white people and all that stuff. I don't know if that's being 100% correct by Malcolm, because he was aware, because he already went to Mecca before that, but he never actually went into Mecca. If I'm incorrect, I know Malcolm Flex will correct me, but I don't think that was the I think he said that, but I don't think we understand what he truly meant when he said that.
Okay, and lastly, and I will drop the mic now. Lastly, is the underage thing, was that a lie as well?
The underage thing is kind of funny. It's not funny as in a joke. It's funny that people would put that out there, because Malcolm X went to court and actually literally testified under oath when they had the whole housing dispute in Queens. And he said that Elijah Muhammad had wives. He never said he had teenage secretaries. Is when he went into the media, because what he's doing is stirring up the believers and the people to leave Elijah. So what happened is, when you're leaving a group, it's like me being on Sarnetta, and I go on my channel and I say, yo, F Sarnetta, because I want the people to say, hey, and start talking crap about Sarnetta to bring the people attention to me. So what Malcolm did, though, he did that for a specific reason. We're gonna get into that later, but he don't have a defense, because he trained these men in the FOI, so he know what they're capable of. So what happened is, when you had people openly threatening him, he felt he was threatening. He felt this was like a defense for him, because he testified in court that they were wives, but then he go on the media and say they were teenage secretaries, and then on top of it, two of the women are women that Malcolm X was actually, I think it's two, but I know Sister Evelyn was involved with Malcolm personally. And because with his letters, I mean, as far as somebody he had actually a relationship with, if you read his letters and everything. So this was a woman before Betty Shabazz that he was allegedly supposed to have married. So if that's one of the women that Elijah Muhammad got pregnant, how could she be a teenager and you were also involved with that woman? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, there's a lot of back and forth and he say, she say. But if you look at his letters defending why they put the woman out of the mosque, and he was trying to defend one of the women, saying that Sister Evelyn was justified, because when he announced he was getting married, the woman walked out the mosque, because a lot of women joined the mosque because of Malcolm, his charisma, his charm. They wanted to be his wife. So they didn't join under auspices like, yo, you know what? We're gonna learn about Islam. They wanted to be that man's wife. He was charismatic. He was a good dude, on the outset. So at the end of the day, when they said teenage secretaries, we gotta be careful. That was to get the believers upset, which the believers were mad. You see, you're accusing a messenger of this, and these are people who are zealots for their belief. That's like me saying something about General Yahan of ISUPK and Captain Katazai. You're like, oh, you gonna say that about, you know what I'm saying? You're a zealot for the person who is the leader, who you think is assigned by God himself. So emotions played a major role with these allegations. I have not seen the one person that they said might have been a teenager is Sister Ola Muhammad, but there has not been any primary source to prove that, because Sister Ola Muhammad's family is on Facebook and they're celebrating her birthday every year. And the way how they're celebrating it is like she was much, much older than, because she's like probably 80 years old now, almost 80 or over 80. There's no way she was a teenager when she messed with Elijah Muhammad.
Hey, I just
Oh,
I just want
all
to
right.
respond to one
Yeah.
thing.
Oh,
Garfield.
go ahead. I just wanted to say quickly, guys, this is
Oh, go
going
ahead.
to be a really great conversation. We did just open. Thank you, everyone on the panel. If everyone in the Gulag just don't mind, please share the room. The arrow is at the bottom of your screen. Click that arrow and just hit share on Clubhouse. You can share up to 3 times. We should be able to get to 50 shares. You haven't missed much, but Garfield and everyone on stage has been adding so like wealth of information for us to learn. So, and we do appreciate everyone that's on stage. If you want to come up, just please raise your hand. We will bring you up. Every opinion is welcome so long as it is respectful, right? So just let's keep it respectful, but you can ask whatever you want to ask, what you want to say. I particularly don't kick people out of the room, but let's let people land, say your point, and the individuals who have the understanding to make corrections will do so. Thank you guys so much. Go ahead, Katiza. Thank you.
I appreciate you. I actually agree with a lot of what Brother Garfield said. Only thing that I will say, and this is still once again an observation, is one, if anybody in here was to do something wrong, it would be addressed, it would be dealt with. I wouldn't stand by anybody who was in the wrong. But of course I will stand by with my brothers. And I think what I find is based off what you said about Malcolm X being so charismatic that even, posthumously, people still have this you know what I'm saying, this affinity for him. And so many people stand by him when I don't even think if he was alive today that they would still follow him. Otherwise, they'd be over at Mecca right now. You know what I'm saying? They sit there and talk about his legacy, but how many of them actually followed over there in his footsteps? You know what I'm saying? Once he decided to leave the organization and go to Mecca and study a different variant of Islam. You know what I'm saying? Like if we speak on somebody or anybody from the past, whether it was the Black Panthers, whether it was Marcus Garvey, we have to look at the good they did, and we have to look at the bad if we want to actually you know what I'm saying, fix the mistakes and the errors of the past, because hindsight's 2020, so we could make a better present and future. And I think that's just the difference. I don't deal with bias. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and we got to do right now. So
Okay, so let me ask you this then, Kataza. I'm sure you've heard the conspiracy theories. Who do you think killed Malcolm X?
um speaking as an outsider, um what I always revert back to in my mind is there's a video with Farrakhan speaking on Malcolm X, and he's speaking very passionately. And he says something, I'm paraphrasing, of course. If we need to play the audio, I'm sure we could find it. It's a famous speech where he says, Malcolm, in essence, Malcolm was a traitor. And so what if we dealt with a traitor? How a traitor is supposed to be dealt with, which, if open to interpretation, sounds as if Malcolm X turned on his nation, committed treason, and as a result, this nation dealt with how they would deal with the traitors. So it would seem as if the assassination of Malcolm X, you know what I'm saying, was internal. Now, there are allegations for conspiracy. There are allegations for COINTELPRO. There are a lot of, you know what I'm saying, moving pieces and variables in the situation. But if he is the present leader of Islam and that's what he said, I could only allude to the fact that it was other Muslims who murdered this man, you know what I'm saying, over the internal disagreements and him turning against his father, Elijah Muhammad. So that would be my conclusion, and that would be my evidence for that. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm on the outside looking in, but that's what I've observed.
Kim, can I respond to that?
Yes, yes, go ahead. And Captain, if you
And
if you
also,
can
I have the
find the if you can like, maybe do a quick Google search and like find the audio,
I
would
have
be
the
my
audio.
No,
Oh,
no,
okay, go ahead.
I would like to you are I would that type of clip needs to be given in context. He didn't say so what, he said if, so he was actually making a point. And the point that he was making was if like in in America they deal with a traitor, he said, what business of it is yours? He said, did you clean up Malcolm? Did you make Malcolm? Basically, you didn't care about him when he was little red. He was making a point. He wasn't saying, hey, we did it, so what? So you guys can go listen to the full lecture. It is titled The Honorable Elijah Muhammad and His Student Malcolm X 28 Years Later. Watch the full lecture. What many people for whatever reason, always leave out, whether purposely or not. Not saying that's what the brother is doing, but whoever made up the clip. In that same lecture, he talks about it not being Muslims in the Nation of Islam. Literally in the same lecture. So they taking a point that he's making and saying, see, he's admitting right here. If that was the case, many if that was the case, all kind of people would be in jail because they was trying to lock up brothers from the FOI. There was literally FOI that was being locked up that wasn't even there on the scene. Brother Malcolm has done beautiful documentation of this, how they have even threatened to have tell people to say certain people was there who wasn't there, all type of stuff. So look at 28 years later, the lecture from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for the context of what he was saying, because in that same lecture he talks about it not being from the Nation of Islam.
Hey,
Hey, brother,
for the
brother,
record,
brother.
brother Ben. Oh, go ahead, Garfield.
Yeah, brother Ben, you mean the part two? I was at Mosque Miriam because part one was actually Savior's Day.
Yeah, this is this.
So he's referring to part two for anybody looking for it. 'Cause I don't want him to go to the wrong
Yeah,
lecture and
this is
lose.
Right,
part
it
two.
is part two.
He has on a black suit with a
And he
brown,
took
like
his
a dark,
glasses off. Yeah, he took
yeah,
his glasses off that
like a
day.
dark, what's the name? Yeah, you can find it on Brother Richmond's IKEA. YouTube page.
Hey, but what Captain Kataza is saying though is the norm though, because they always clip that the news media always clip it. So I don't wrong Captain Kataza. He said from an outsider looking in, and that's what I said when I started speaking. If you're on the outside, you don't know certain things, and just a little clip you see it on the media all the time. If you kill him like a nation, nobody heard what he said. If they don't play that part in the media or on YouTube, they just clip it and say, "Hey, this and that." That's all I wanted to say.
And for the record, that's actually what I was gonna say. I was paraphrasing, and like I said, I can't tell you if it's right or wrong. I can only tell you what public opinion feels like because of the information that's out there. And just based off of that being such a popular clip, it gives the presentation as if it was internal. So I can't tell you whether it was or it wasn't. I'm just letting you know what popular public opinion is, and that's all that I know. It's not a topic that I've dove into. I'm just giving you my opinion off of the majority of the things that have been presented to me.
Yeah, no. That wasn't towards you. I'm just saying other people in the past though, like on YouTube. I mean, we've been saying this stuff for years, have done it and have tried to use that as proof. Like, see, this is what he said, and they always leave, and they would have the full lecture because they would clip it up and would leave that part out. So no, that wasn't to you. I was just making a point that has happened over the years, over the past.
Can I jump in as well? I want to also add this. Shout out to the room, peace of the room, peace to brother Garfield, peace to brother Katazar, brother Roosevelt, and others who are on stage. So let's put this in a historical context, right? So at the time of this lecture that had taken place, um, was off of the heels of the lecture that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had given at a Savior's Day, where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had brought the wives out on stage and allowed them to speak for themselves on the character of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And this was at a heated moment in history because they resurrected our brother Minister Malcolm and sanitized his whole his whole image, right, in the media. And Spike Lee was getting ready to put out his movie Malcolm X, and the minister talks in his lecture of his meeting with Spike Lee. And the minister, asked Spike Lee, what's your intentions on making this movie, and what are some of the things that you gonna, put in this movie, because if you're gonna tell a story, we want you to tell it right, not from a biased perspective, but tell the whole truth. You know what I mean? So, in context, the minister didn't just randomly go on a rant about brother minister Malcolm X. It was at a time where this movie was getting ready to drop. They was talking about brother minister Malcolm X heavily in the media. This is the time where they was like really rocking the X hats and the X memorabilia, and monetizing off of Malcolm X's name. And then they were trying the FBI and the enemy was trying to maneuver the conversation and basically say it was the Nation of Islam, it was the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but he had to come out and give the real story, the real context of Brother Minister Malcolm X's demise. So when you listen to the clip, and he talks about, what if we dealt with a traitor, because the white man deals with his traders, but they just stop right there. They just clip it and stop right there. Whereas I have the recording right here, right now. But as you keep listening to what the minister says, he says, "But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us to leave that man alone." So we left him alone. And Brother Minister Malcolm and Wharf D. Muhammad was both kicked out of the nation at the same time. You know what I mean? But they only want to lead you up to the part where the minister says, was he your traitor or was he our traitor? And if we dealt like a traitor, if we dealt with him like a traitor, then what is it to you? So the purpose of doing that is to incite anger and hatred in the people for the Nation of Islam. You know what I mean? But they don't want you to know the actual historical context of everything that was taking place.
Thank you. Can you please play the clip? Is it a short clip? Do you have it?
Yes, it's about 5 to 6 minutes long.
Okay. If you want to play,
Yeah,
please feel free
yeah,
to
I'll
do
play
so.
it.
Hey Nova, yeah, let me know when you have it
Yeah,
ready.
I'm
And
ready.
oh, go
What's up?
ahead.
What's up?
Okay, just play the clip and then we'll go to Nova. Thank you.
Okay.
Now look at the wisdom of God. I'm just about finished now.
Let me know if y'all can hear it.
Malcolm went out of the Yes, we can. We can.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
hear
it's
it.
good. It's good.
Hurt. At least I can speak for myself. I loved him. Next to Elijah Muhammad, I didn't know anybody greater than Malcolm X. It hurt me that he would go out of the nation. But then the worst hurt was Malcolm going to Mike Wallace, telling Mike Wallace, and listen to the words now, Elijah Muhammad fathered children from his teenage secretaries. So Malcolm raised it to a moral issue. Listen to me carefully. Putting himself in the righteous position, putting his teacher in an immoral position, but then he's going to the white man to tell the white man what his leader and teacher had done. He did it with Mike Wallace. You can't deny this. This is actual fact. He came here to Chicago and went to Cupsinet. When has Cupsinet been a friend of black people? And he told Cup, Elijah Muhammad, I thought he was a man. Fathered these children and wouldn't, in other words, kept it a secret and whatnot. I found that he was less man than I thought. Oh, he dogged the messenger. The man that took him from a pimp, from a hustler, from a stick-up man, and sent him before the world. Now he's dogging his teacher. What do you think we felt? Elijah Muhammad wasn't just a leader. That's our spiritual guide and father, brother. You don't have to order me to kill you. If you attack my father, my orders come from my love. I want you to hear me good, because every Muslim that loved Elijah Muhammad would have killed Malcolm if we had gotten a chance. No, I don't need no damn applause. I want you to think now. We didn't incite that. Malcolm incited that in us. He would have been dead. He would never have lasted a year. Elijah Muhammad told us, leave him alone. Leave him alone. Told me to my face, leave him alone. And I'm an obedient servant. Is that it? Thank
No, it's
you.
coming up.
To
No, it's
Muhammad
coming up.
Oh, okay. You attack him, I would kill you. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I'm not a killer, but neither are you. But if somebody attack what you love, each one of you in here would become a killer instantaneously. Am I lying? Mother, let somebody look like they're attacking your child. Here's a woman who fought a bear because the bear snatched her baby. And she ran the bear down, screaming until the bear dropped her baby. Love casts out fear. We don't give a damn about no white man law when you attack what we love.
Here we go.
And frankly, it ain't none of your business. What have you got to say about it? Did you teach Malcolm? Did you make Malcolm? Did you clean up Malcolm? Did you put Malcolm out before the world? Was Malcolm your traitor or was he ours? And if we dealt with him like a nation deals with a traitor, what the hell business is it of yours? You just shut your mouth and stay out of it. Because in the future, we're going to become a nation. And the nation got to be able to deal with traitors and cutthroats and turncoats. The white man deals with his. The Jews deal with theirs. Salman Rushdie wrote a nasty thing about the prophet, and Imam Khomeini put out a death thing on him, and it stands today. It's certain paths you don't cross. Like I said last week, in every prophet's community, there were zealots. I'm telling you, Elijah Muhammad told us, leave that man alone.
Leave that man alone.
Wow. Elijah Muhammad said he'll come back repentant.
He'll
Is it
come
almost
back.
done?
That's it.
Is that it for the audio? Thank you. Okay, that was a lot to listen to, and I would say from what I heard from the outside looking in, when he said what if if we would have chose to deal with him how you would deal with a traitor, like was he you that trained him? Let me get some opinions on the stage. A phenomenal Aki. Are
What's
you
up,
there?
beloved? What's up?
Hey, what did you think about that audio that we just heard and your opinion to the title? Thank you.
That was actually my first time hearing this video. That was kind of devastating to even witness. I know you may have overly love for the man that you claim to be your prophet, but to take it to the extent to say that it's right for me to kill him based off of him speaking about my father, that don't make no sense. Words shouldn't even get taken out of context. Like sit down and have a conversation with the man. Understand where the man coming from, even if you don't agree with him. But take it to the extent to go say I kill you for saying words about my father. Come on, man. They just already automatically putting the blame on them.
So is it your opinion nation had anything to do with his death?
Fact. I ain't gonna say overall in particular, but they played a part in.
So let me respond to that real quick. See, again, reading and listening comprehension is very important in our community, right? Because we got to understand what we listening to, right? Now, this time, we didn't give you a 30-second sound bite. We gave you at least 6 minutes of audio, right? So
Mr. Malcolm, I said really quickly. We all heard the audio, and if you want to come up, just come up. Or hold on one second. I'm so sorry. If you want to come up, raise your hands, and we will bring you up. Again, all opinions are welcomed. We have individuals in here who can clarify, dispel any misunderstandings, miscommunication, or any conspiracy that you have heard. But all opinions are welcome. So just feel free to raise your hands, and we'll bring you up. Again, continue to share the room if you haven't done so. You haven't missed, well, you've missed kind of like 30 minutes, but not too much. Go ahead, Mr. Malcolm. Thank you.
thank you. So like I was stating, we gave at least 6 minutes of audio. We didn't give you a 30-second sound bite, right? So we gave that 6 minutes audio had enough insight to help you understand the thinking of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad at that time, right? So when my brother just spoke, right, he made a very reasonable point, a very reasonable suggestion that we agree with, right? Just because there are a war of words, Brother Minister Malcolm doesn't deserve for his life to be taken. But what the Honorable Minister it ain't no buts. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is doing is what he's saying is that anybody can kill. If you want to call somebody a killer, any one of us have the capabilities of taking someone's life. But essentially, what he's saying is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told his followers to stand down. Why? Because Malcolm didn't deserve to die. So I don't want y'all to go out in public talking about, you know, brother minister Malcolm X or he need to lose this is what the messenger is telling his followers at that time. So this is what the minister is explaining to his audience, right? So you cannot miss what he's saying. He's saying that Malcolm X, when he left, he had been out of the nation for a whole year. That he lived in a house that the Nation of Islam paid for, so we knew exactly where the brother was. He wouldn't have last. He said he wouldn't lasted a whole year.
Can I offer a
Yeah,
quick
if
rebuttal?
oh, go ahead. Yeah,
Oh, my
after you,
rebuttal
Kim,
was
I
just
want to jump
simple.
in there.
Okay, it to me sounds like when O.J. Simpson wrote a book that says, "What if I did it?" I don't know if anybody has have heard about that
Yes, yes,
book.
I have.
Yes, I've
He
heard of that
said
book.
he said, "What if I did it?"
If I did it, this
This
is what
is
I would
how
have
I
done.
would have did
Right.
it.
Yeah,
That's
how right,
that
exactly.
that's what I got from that audio. We all know that, and I'm not, again, just so you know, I'm not in any way making any claims, but I'm just saying what I gather from just my initial thoughts was when O.J. Simpson decided to write that book.
Hey Kim, would
What
you
if
would
I
you
I'd
did
like
it?
to go
agree?
next if I
Kim,
can get a chance.
would
Yeah.
would you agree, Kim? This is just
Yeah.
an
Oh, after
interjection for Kim.
Garfield, we'll go to no, hold on one second. Oh, okay, Garfield, Katiza, then Mr. Nova, because he has been waiting on the
Yeah,
stage,
Kim,
and
leave. I wanted to say something to you, personally. Would you agree that at the end of the tape, he said Elijah Muhammad did give an order to leave Malcolm alone?
I'm sorry. Did he say?
At the end of the audio
Hmm.
that brother Malcolm Flex just played, did Farrakhan state that Elijah Muhammad said leave Malcolm alone?
Right, but at the end of OJ's book, he said, "I didn't do it." But the title of the book,
But
"What if
but
I did
OJ
it?"
has nothing to do with this
No,
conversation.
no, no. I know. Oh, it doesn't have anything to do with the convert. I'm just trying to make a parallel as
I
to
think
what.
you know what it is. The minister Farrakhan made that long soliloquy that if you come in halfway, you're not going to get it. If you don't watch a whole lecture, you're really not going to get it. The issue is he's basically saying that you on the outside of the Nation of Islam, just like how the CIA would kill their folks. He's saying if that was the case, it's really not your business because he's a part of us. He's a part of our family. He's a part of our nation. But he also stated at the end to make it clear to everybody that listen, Elijah Muhammad gave strict orders, leave Malcolm alone. A matter of fact, I've even heard the Believers tape. I've heard it myself, where he said, leave Malcolm X alone. All right. Now, if you have people who don't care what Elijah Muhammad says and wanted to do whatever they wanted to do, that's a whole nother conversation. But let's be realistic now. For an outsider looking in, the brothers that were charged with the crime, one of them admitted to doing it. Two of them just actually won a lawsuit 2 3 months ago over $100 million from the state of New York, saying that they arrested them for a wrongful conviction. So those two weren't even involved. But the guy who actually was involved named four other guys who were involved and actually told us exactly when Counselor took his under oath and a statement, and he named the actual guys who were involved. So now those guys now were those guys agents. This is where the argument really needs to be. Because if they're in the Nation of Islam, wearing a bow tie, wearing a suit, like they're a part of it, how do you differentiate from a member of the Nation of Islam from somebody who's working for the FBI or whoever, boss or whatever NYPD group or whatever? How do you determine that? And I think that's where the community really should be. The debate should be
I'd like to
because
answer
Well,
that really quickly
All
okay,
because
right,
go ahead.
thank you.
here's what
Oh,
shortly
I want to say though, real quick,
hey
because
guys. So yeah, it's good. It's gonna be
I yielded to
Katazat,
both of
no,
them.
Katazat Nova. Then we'll have one of the brothers, in the nation respond as well.
Hey, add me in the queue too,
Of
Kim.
course.
And and I agree. And that's actually what I was gonna say. I heard twice. I heard once in the beginning, and I heard once at the end, to be fair, that he said that Elijah said, "Leave him alone." And he also went as far as to say, "I am an obedient son." But what I'm not going to ignore is he called Malcolm X a traitor, a turncoat, talking about one of his actions, about who he ran to, his behavior. And it did sadden him, but he talked about how what he did after he left was treacherous. And one, if I'm gonna murder somebody, I'm not going to admit it publicly. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a fool. I'm not trying to go to jail. Not to say that they did, but I'm just giving you, you know what I'm saying, personal observation. But I'm not going to ignore that it doesn't sound like he condoned him dying. While he says he's an obedient son and he says, "I left him alone," when you continue to watch that tape, he talks about, "I don't need a license. If you come and hurt my father, my justification is in protecting my family," called him a turncoat and a traitor, and then said, "As a nation, we should be able to deal with a traitor how America deals with a traitor." So he's identifying Malcolm X as a traitor and saying that traitors should die a traitor's death. So that's what I hear. You know what I'm saying? I also heard he said don't do it. But I also heard it's acceptable if a traitor dies, and identifying Malcolm as one. So let's just keep it real.
Now, real quick, and
I like that. I like that. I'm
yeah,
next though,
go
but
ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Nova. It's Nova.
assalamu alaikum.
My
I'm an Orthodox Muslim, by the way, but I think it's important to also take into consideration what Malcolm X was saying himself at the time. At the time, he was saying the Nation of Islam was trying to kill him. And here's a 10-second short clip. About an effort to take my life back in January, and at that time the Muslims denied it. Why are they threatening your life? Well, primarily because they're afraid that I will tell the real reason that I'm out of the Black Muslim movement. So I think that's really important. And then as he said, they had been threatening his life. And then 2 months later, he did another interview. This was a sit down interview, and they were basically saying that Elijah Muhammad said, because there's a difference between what people say in public and what people do in private, of course. So he was saying, the interviewer said, Elijah Muhammad said, y'all don't carry guns. And this is another very short clip because I'm trying to be fast. I'm not trying to be long winded. Elijah Muhammad says of the Muslims, "We carry no arms, and we do not seek to win victory with arms. We do nothing to others that we would not have done unto us." The two brothers were sent after me with revolvers by Joseph, the captain of the Fruit in New York. So these weren't just random people. These were NOI members that he recognized, the captain of the Fruit of Islam, for instance. Me personally, I don't know 100% or assume 100% who killed him. I really think that the United States government had more of a stake at killing Malcolm X than the Nation of Islam would have. However, you can't deny that it looks funny in a light. You know what I'm saying? Even if the government used so-called Nation of Islam members to kill Malcolm X, I don't think anybody is expedited of what they've done. I don't think Farrakhan's innocent. I don't think Elijah Muhammad's 100% innocent, and I don't think U.S. government is innocent. I think they kind of all conspired together to take him down, and that's what I got to say for now. Peace.
Thank you. Let me rephrase the one of the conspiracies that I saw online. It was that Louis X was a student of Malcolm X. I think Louis X today is Farrakhan today. And Malcolm X had told Louis X about Elijah Muhammad and underage dealings and multiple women. And but he had told Louis X not to tell anybody. And off the heels of that, Malcolm X made a comment about the chicken coming home to roost in relation to the president that had just been murdered. And Malcolm X was suspended by the nation because of that. But from Malcolm X's perspective, it was, well, the nation is anti-white, so then why would Elijah Muhammad have such an issue with him making that comment about the chicken coming home to roost? So ultimately, it appears that Malcolm X made the conclusion that he was truly suspended for 90 days because Louis X had told him
about the underage dealings. And then after that, the relationship was severed totally, and that's how he left the nation and ultimately passed away. That's one of the conspiracies that
Really,
I.
really quickly, Kim, it was Worth Dean who told Malcolm X that. It wasn't Lewis X. Malcolm X said Worth Dean, who was Elijah Muhammad's son, told him about the
Correct.
girls.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we'll have one of the guys from the nation respond, and then
Yeah.
we'll get back to the queue. Hi, Joel. Hi, Rich. Hi, Kojo. Hi, Mr. Roosevelt, Mando, and everyone on the stage. Go ahead. One of the was it? I think it
Yeah,
was
I go.
Brother Ben X that wanted to respond. I
Yeah,
think it was Brother Ben X.
You can go ahead, brother Malcolm.
Okay.
thank you. Um, so I just wanted to say, touch on a couple of these points, from brother Captain Katazan, brother Nova, right? Because like brother was correct, the ministers mentioned twice in that audio to where he was told to stand down, but he also mentioned, that Malcolm, was a traitor, right? But I I know, brother Captain Katazar, you are a part of an organization as well, and you have an organizational structure. And I know that many organizations have hypocrites. They have people who leave the organization and turn on the organization. I know the Nation of Islam is not the only one. So I can, probably, assume, um with your organization, because you also have a leader, General Yohana, but you also have a big brother, to you, Captain Tazariak, that you work closely with. And it's not a personal attack. I'm just giving an
No,
example,
no, of course,
right?
brother.
Yeah, I'm just giving an example, right? So I'm pretty sure that if Captain Tazariak, who's one of the top brothers in your camp, decides to, change up on General Yohana for, unreasonably, you know, you're not going to. Just a few moments ago, you said that you stand on truth. You're not you stand on what's right. You feel me? So if he did what he did to General Yohana unreasonably, you're not gonna follow Captain Tazariak. I can probably assume that to be correct, based on organizational structure. But also to Brother Nova's point, in regards to the Muslims not carrying weapons and things of that nature, because even in the movie Malcolm X, Brother Minister Malcolm X said, and I heard Brother Garfield mention earlier, that you know he trained the Muslims, so he know what the Muslims can do and what the Muslims can't do. So when you hear about Muslims carrying weapons, they are acting outside of the law of Islam that was given to us by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we have a direct quote by brother minister Malcolm X's assistant by the name of Sarah Mitchell, right? And she makes a very compelling statement that brother minister Malcolm X told her before he made his transition. Brother King Cam, if you can you read it so the people can hear it for themselves?
Yes, sir. I actually have peace to the room. Shout out to Sister Kim for holding this room, and shout out to all the good brothers, Brother Garfield, Captain Kataza, and the rest of the space in the room. So I have actually a quote from Brother Malcolm himself, and I have the quote from his assistant, Sarah Mitchell. Brother Malcolm says this, and he's talking to Alex Haley as they were doing his autobiography. And this is in Malcolm's autobiography as well. But I'm going to tell you something, brother. The more I keep thinking about this thing, the things that have been happening lately, I'm not at all that sure it's the Muslims. I know what they can do and what they can't. And they can't do some of the stuff recently going on. Now, I'm going to tell you, the more I keep thinking about what happened to me in France, I think I'm going to quit saying it's the Muslims. And I'm going to also read the quote from his secretary, Sarah Mitchell. She was his secretary and administrative assistant. And this was the last conversation she had with Brother Malcolm before he was killed. During his final hours, Malcolm spoke of plans for explaining to the general public how hasty and mistaken he had been in accusing black Muslims of bombing his home. He said, "You won't find a single instance where Muslim men ever moved to attack women and children. I know their tactics and their limitations. And I'm telling you, things happening to me these past weeks go beyond the realm of the Muslims." Malcolm was convinced that a conspired maneuver was already in motion whereby if anything happened to him, Elijah and his organization would be blamed or vice versa. Therefore, whatever should occur in the wake of such a neat setup, it was unlikely that other possibilities would be given due consideration. After sitting quietly for a while, peering straight ahead, he finally looked around at all of the concerned faces of those attending a last minute meeting. Shaking his head, he voiced regrets that inadvertently he had aided and abetted vicious, calculated scheme by accusing Elijah and other Muslims of being out to get him. Formerly, so streetwise, he was angry with himself for falling for something he felt he should have been able to see into more clearly and more rapidly. I'm not trying to look noble or anything, and I'm sure not out here to rival or fight with anybody. Surely not against my own people. Close quote on Brother Malcolm X. So
So
that
if
All
oh, I
right.
thought you
so
was
I
landed.
just
I'm
want to
sorry.
I want to button up this point because this was alluded to in this testimony from his administrative assistant because whatever would occur in the wake of such a neat setup, it was unlikely that other possibilities would be given due consideration. And after all of this has taken place, those exact words are exactly what has happened. Because despite the facts of the ages of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's wives, the quotes from Malcolm himself, the things that the people who were closest to Malcolm have said in reference to the Nation of Islam not being involved, people are consumed and under the understanding that regardless of any of that, that somehow the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, somehow the Nation of Islam had a role in hand in killing Brother Malcolm X. And I'll end
All
the
right.
plane there.
Thank you. So
Hey,
let me
hey,
say this. So
uh,
Katazai is going to respond, and then after once he lands, then I'll get flashes of Mike on who wants to speak next. Again, the stage is an open stage as far as all opinions are welcomed. So keep that in mind. Go ahead, Kat.
so I do have a statement in response, but I also have a question. And this is just to kind of stand on my point that I made earlier. So to the brother Malcolm Flex, do you agree that Malcolm X was a traitor to Elijah Muhammad and the nation?
Yes, but I also believe that he was a victim of conspiracies from the FBI and CIA. So I do believe he was a victim ultimately, but yes, I do believe that he did uh, change up on his leader
Well, let me just so you agree he's a traitor.
to the nation,
Well,
not to
let me
black people as a whole.
well to the nation, but I mean you're a part of that
Right.
nation, so
How was he a traitor? Oh, sorry,
he
Captain
would so
Katazai.
no, oh no sweat. So he would directly be a traitor to you. It doesn't matter about black people as a whole if you're a nation of nationalistic views because you're trying to form your own nation. But I say all that to say this, just in comparison to what you said earlier. Um, God forbid Commandant General Yohana or Captain Zaryak did something treacherous. You know, we would not only ostracize them, remove them from the nation, but I would never come on here and name myself Benny Yohana or utilize a play on words or anything in that matter for someone who's a traitor to my nation. And I think that ties into what I was explaining earlier that people are just have such an affinity for Malcolm X that they just want a piece of the legacy and they love how charismatic where he was, where I'm raised with just a little bit of a different sense of loyalty. Whereas if somebody was to do something wrong, not only would they be removed from the ISUPK, not only would they be marked as a traitor, but I would never want a piece of their legacy. You know what I'm saying? In that manner or that capacity, especially if my father, Commanding General Yohana, branded them a traitor. And I think that that's just a little bit of the difference. And that's why what I said earlier is if we are going to revisit things in retrospect, if hindsight is 2020, we have to look at the good, we have to look at the bad, and we have to stop making excuses for the bad. And then my last question would be this picture that's on my PTR right now. Who was Malcolm X trying to protect himself from in this picture?
Okay. Real quick, Ken. Let me
Yeah, we'll
respond
just get
to
like a 3 minutes response. I know there are others on stage who want to speak as
that.
well.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
I don't necessarily know who he was defending himself from in that picture because he had many enemies. He didn't know where the attack was coming from, right? But you know, the way we are taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, despite what the minister said back in 92, 93, he's always taught us to be respectful of Brother Minister Malcolm X. Be respectful of his family. You never hear any of us going around saying, "Oh, he was a traitor. We don't mess with Malcolm." And we don't, and it's, I mean, oft times when we do have the Malcolm X discussion, it's other people outside the nation who want to have the discussion, but they don't ever want to have a real discussion. See, they want to feed the people their narrative, but they don't want to look at the information and the facts
But
that we.
brother Malcolm, I think that we've been having a great conversation so
But man,
far.
just real quick. I'm not saying that this particular conversation. There have been hundreds of conversations on the subject, so don't take it personal as I'm saying this conversation, right? So so. But my point is to brother Captain Kataza, right? Because he said that he doesn't want his name or his legacy to be associated with that individual, right? So really, he agrees with us, right? But we don't think that the minister at all had any word plays. The brother, when you listen to the full lecture, he's giving it to the people straight on what actually happened. He's not playing with words. He's telling you what it is. He was basically saying if we was really on that time, we would have really did that. But we had orders. Otherwise, we had orders, so therefore we left the brother alone. That's essentially what he's saying. But I don't know why people are hearing something else. He's speaking plain words.
All right, thank you. Let me get a flash of mic of. Well, firstly, let me ask this: is there anybody on the stage that has any criticism for the nation, for the NOI organization, and also who believes that they have anything to do with Malcolm X demise? Anybody on stage? Okay, Mando. All right, just
Sister,
okay. All right, hold.
can I have
Ooh, you're in the
you?
matrix, brother. Huh? You want to be in the
Is
queue?
this
Okay, no problem, no
no
problem, no
no? Can you hear
problem.
me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a question for you real quick.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Go ahead.
I know you said you're reading these articles and videos. Your research.
You're in
Ooh,
the
you're in the
matrix,
You in the
brother.
matrix.
matrix, brother.
I'll try again in a
You in the
minute.
matrix, bro.
Hey, fight back, brother. You might want to fight back.
Yeah, you're in the matrix. So sorry. Why don't
Is
we
this better?
do this? Okay.
Is this better, y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bro, just give up.
Yeah, yeah, you good, brother. Go ahead.
My bad. Maybe I was in a bad area. I was asking in your research. I know you was quoting some quotes and some research that you was doing on the subject before the room. Did you find anything from Malcolm X's daughter who has been doing research and who has actually spoken to the shooters? Because she's done several interviews speaking on, as she's actually spoken to some of them. And of course, as her father, she has done extensive research and has stated what she's found. Do you have any quotes from what she said?
No, I don't, but I can look it up. But if you don't mind me asking, at the time of his death, how old was she?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but right now, the part about what I've seen in her interviews is that she's actually talked to the ones who was there. So if she was an infant in the womb, she's spoken to the ones who was actually there at that time and done research on them. So the same way we've been doing research and we're basing our statements based on what other people are saying, I think it's important for us to even look at what his own daughter has found in her research.
Okay, that's very valid. Okay, so before I think Mando was the only one that had like a criticism. Before we do that, brother Malcolm, would you
What
mind
was his
playing?
criticism?
Oh, he hasn't spoken yet.
Oh,
I had someone take a flash of mic. Okay,
when I
Malcolm.
flashed my mic too, then at that
Oh,
point.
you did?
Uh
Oh, okay,
huh.
great. Before I yield to you, then, brother Malcolm, would you mind playing that 5 minute clip again?
No, I don't mind.
What's the 5 minute
Thank
Who's
you
that?
clip
so
of?
much. It was a Farrakhan.
It's yeah,
Go ahead.
it's if I could, you know what I'm saying? It's when Farrakhan gave the speech that he said they were told not to touch him. However, they mark Malcolm X as a traitor and then continue to go on basically that so what if we deal with a traitor, how you deal with a traitor.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, I'm
acknowledge,
familiar
yeah,
with that.
that joint.
Okay.
I figured you would. I know you
Personally,
saw that
I,
ordered
video.
the
I
tracks
want
upon
to
you.
Oh yes,
I know
this
also I
brother was
know
a captain. He was one of the karate experts who taught karate host Eastern region, Hey, Ibn, and he mute your was in the mic, inner dude. Circle. And Ibn, he mute your pointed mic.
Who
out.
is that? Just who is that?
Relax, dude. Ibn, mute your mic.
I was gonna say I know Nova put in the chat that using Malcolm X's own words is important. Um, I think what Brother Cam read is also important, but also we have an audio of Malcolm apologizing as well.
Hey,
Now I know
brother,
many.
if you don't mind, once Malcolm plays the audio, then you can respond. Then we'll go to Amanda if that's all right. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Malcolm.
Look at the wisdom of God. I'm just about finished now. Malcolm went out of the nation. We all were hurt. At least I can speak for myself. I loved him. Next to Elijah Muhammad, I didn't know anybody greater than Malcolm X. It hurt me that he would go out of the nation. But then the worst hurt was Malcolm going to Mike Wallace, telling Mike Wallace, and listen to the words now, Elijah Muhammad fathered children from his teenage secretaries. So Malcolm raised it to a moral issue. Listen to me carefully. Putting himself in the righteous position, putting his teacher in an immoral position, but then he's going to the white man to tell the white man what his leader and teacher had done. He did it with Mike Wallace. You can't deny this. This is actual fact. He came here to Chicago and went to Cups in it. When has Cups in it been a friend of black people? And he told Cup, Elijah Muhammad, I thought he was a man, fathered these children and wouldn't, in other words, kept it a secret and whatnot. I found that he was less man than I thought. Oh, he dogged the message. The man that took him from a pimp, from a hustler, from a stick-up man, send him before the world. Now he's dogging his teacher. What do you think we felt? Elijah Muhammad wasn't just a leader. That's our spiritual guide and father, brother. You don't have to order me to kill you. If you attack my father, my orders come from my love. I want you to hear me good because every Muslim that loved Elijah Muhammad would have killed Malcolm if we had gotten a chance. No, I don't need no damn applause. I want you to think now. We didn't incite that. Malcolm incited that in us. He would have been dead. He would never have lasted a year.
Elijah Muhammad told us, leave him alone. Leave him alone. Told me to my face, leave him alone. And I'm an obedient servant. Yeah, I love Elijah Muhammad enough that if you attack him, I will kill you. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I'm not a killer, but neither are you. But if somebody attack what you love, each one of you in here would become a killer instantaneously. Am I lying? Mother, let somebody look like they're attacking your child. Here's a woman who fought a bear because the bear snatched her baby. And she ran the bear down, screaming until the bear dropped her baby. Love casts out fear. We don't give a damn about no white man law when you attack what we love. And frankly, it ain't none of your business. What have you got to say about it? Did you teach Malcolm? Did you make Malcolm? Did you clean up Malcolm? Did you put Malcolm out before the world? Was Malcolm your traitor or was he ours? And if we dealt with him like a nation deals with a traitor, what the hell business is it of yours? You just shut your mouth and stay out of it. Because in the future, we're going to become a nation. And the nation got to be able to deal with traitors and cutthroats and turncoats. The white man deals with his. The Jews deal with theirs. Salman Rushdie wrote a nasty thing about the prophet, and Imam Khomeini put out a death thing on him, and it stands today. There's certain paths you don't cross. Like I said last week, in every prophet's community, there were zealots. I'm telling you, Elijah Muhammad told us, leave that man alone. I believe Elijah Muhammad said he'll come back repentant. Leave him alone.
He said the messenger believe he'll come back
All
repentant.
right.
Leave him alone.
Okay, thank you. And then now you the mic to Captain Cesariak, and then we'll go to Mando. And I think when the first time I heard that clip, the first thing that came to my mind was when O.J. Simpson said, "What if I did it? This is what I would have done." That's just my opinion, though, and not
But
based on any facts.
now
So
let me ask you a question, Sister
hold
Cherry.
on.
I agree with her.
The mic has to go to Captain Cesariak. Remember, we have
But
like
real quick, just want to ask you a question. So out of everything that the minister just said, is that all you got from
Yo,
him?
what is wrong with this dude?
Who was that?
Simple
No,
thinking, man.
no,
Who was
guys,
that?
guys, guys,
Who was
guys.
that?
What
He
else?
just
What
Hold
else
on.
was there to get from it?
Guys, hold on one second. One
Hey,
mic.
Mando, relax for a second, and Malcolm, y'all can relax. I think the reason why people get that vibe from that, 'cause Malcolm, you asked a good question. Out of everything that was said out of there, why is it that that's all she remembers? And I think it's the spirit behind how he was talking and how he was acting. Everything that he said didn't speak that they didn't do anything to Malcolm, but that they absolutely did because, of course, Elijah is their father, somebody that they loved. They looked at Malcolm as a traitor. And because Malcolm was spewing the venom, and if you think about what he was saying, imagine if that was today. What he was saying was that Elijah Muhammad was fathering children with underage girls. That's a heinous charge. Imagine if that came out today. Now, of course, today's time ain't yesterday's time. So now, when you look at the charges, um, Farrakhan seemed to be speaking with that type of venom. I think that's why when people hear it, they hear it the way. Just to answer your question, the only brushback I had, and y'all could answer it. There was a documentary that came out that showed that it was a Muslim from the mosque in Newark, New Jersey, that actually killed Malcolm that day. It was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but I know that also came out. So I know the brothers may want to respond to that. I may chime in, but I definitely my
You
my
talking
my
you
take
talking
is
about
too.
William Bradley, right? William Bradley,
Yeah,
the guy that
yeah,
died. Yeah.
that's correct. And my take on it is two sided. So I do personally believe Malcolm was a traitor to the Nation of Islam. I believe that even if those things were true that Malcolm was saying, I believe that Malcolm knew that they was true before he said them, and the only reason he said them is because he was told to shut his mouth, and he didn't want to shut his mouth. He didn't want to listen. He didn't want to sit down, and so now he angrily took those things out. Then I also see the flip side where they shouldn't have tried to kill a brother or harm the brother over words. So when it comes to Malcolm and the Nation of Islam, it's like a toss up. By no means do I think he should have died, but me coming from a place of order, if I'm told to sit down, I'm going to sit down, whether I like it or not, because that organization made me. They raised me. Commander Jane Hahn is a father to me. So if he told me to sit down, I'm just going to sit down. Malcolm didn't want to do that. So from an order perspective, Malcolm was if what we know is true, Malcolm was out of order to ever say anything. But none of what he said justified killing him. So I yield with that.
And I
Can
agree
I
with
ask you
that.
a
So
question, Cap? Let me ask you a question,
Yeah.
Cap. You mentioned order and stuff like that. So let's just assume that what Malcolm was claiming that Mr. Elijah Muhammad was doing, let's assume that that's true. Should he have then kept quiet, even though he was told to, knowing the gravity of the situation, assuming that to be true? So, like,
No, yeah,
at
no, he
what
wasn't
point
told to
does
be quiet. No, he wasn't told to be quiet about the claims he made about Elijah. I believe he spoke ill of the Kennedy
John
assassination,
F.
and that's
Kennedy.
what
right, right?
right, and that's why he was told to be quiet. But it was only when he was told to be quiet that now he starts revealing these things that was going on in the nation. It's like if so I use myself, like I'm prominent in ISUBK, right? So I go out, I speak, and I do all these things, and then I do some shit or I say some shit that's wrong, and Commander Jenny Hanna say, okay, you can't talk for this amount of time. And now there's some things going on that I always knew was going on, but now because he told me to be quiet, I start talking about it. That's what makes um me personally. That's what make me look at Malcolm as a traitor. Like Malcolm was a traitor first because he didn't want to obey orders. If he would have obeyed that order, we probably would never hear of those accusations. Or because if he always knew about them, why wait till they punish you to say anything about them?
Okay,
Because
so
you
let
can't
me.
do no. I'm just saying like this. Because you can't do no evil shit around me, and I know about it, and I don't say nothing about it until something happens to me. Because then that means I must be doing some evil shit too, and we both being evil. And then now you trying to punish me, so now I'm gonna tell about your evil.
Okay,
What's
So
so
wild is that Malcolm says that it's reversed. He said that he got punished because he was going to
right,
be stirring up
that
stuff
okay,
that's
that
what I
now
was
that's
going
why I
to
said
about
say.
that's
her.
why I said
Hey,
if what we know is true, I don't know about that part
But
right there.
that's not the. Hey, Captain, the first thing you said was the truth.
can
The lack
Ando
of
Who's
speak?
that talk?
discipline.
Who's that
The
talking?
the la- the. This
I
is
thought I
Rich
was supposed to
talking. The
go
lack of
Yeah,
discipline. The
Mr.
lack of
Rich, Mr.
discipline,
Rich,
and
Mr.
then
Rich,
and then
Mr.
Oh, hold on, Rich.
afterwards,
Rich,
Hold, Rich,
yeah.
Rich, hold on, Rich, hold on, hold on, hold on.
Mr. Rich, hold
Do
on.
are we popcorn? Or are we
No, no,
going in
no,
order? That's
no.
No,
what I
She
want
was
to know.
talking to me first, and then she was gonna yield the floor.
No,
and
I'm
I
asking the
still have
question, not
It's
not
not
about. I'm
so. It's
asking, are
not
we going in
popcorn
order?
now.
Because I.
It's not
Okay,
popcorn
then.
now.
Okay, so I'm
I'm,
looking for a specific order in
dude,
here since we're
dude,
being disciplined.
dude.
That's
Just be
all.
quiet. You'll get the order as soon as you
Don't
be
tell me to
quiet.
be quiet. I said I'm
I
looking for
just
specific
did.
order. Okay.
No
Yeah, but
problem.
I'm
You can learn. You'll learn the
I'm
order in
moving
the
to the
audience.
audience.
Go ahead, Ken. Well, I did. Oh, you beat me to it. So like,
all right, go ahead, Mr. Amanda. And then once
Thank,
Mr. Amanda land, we'll have someone from the NOI give a response to all of us. Go ahead,
thanks,
Michael.
Kim. So what is the Nation of Islam? Obviously, it's a religious group, right? But I think people wouldn't be crazy to call it a cult because after that video that or that audio that was played of Mr. Louis Farrakhan um, talking about Malcolm and the circumstances. Kim, you're right. It gives you that feel of if I would have did it, this is what I would have done. And this was like you take this. This is post Malcolm's life, right? That's a desecration to a man who helped bring the Nation of Islam to its prominence during the civil rights era, one of the most critical times in American politics, right? But I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So the problem here, right? I find that is gross is that Elijah Muhammad was accused of having sex with underage children, right? Or underage girls, right? Getting them pregnant. Malcolm X did an investigation, right? Whether he used this as leverage over Elijah Muhammad's head or not, whether it means he's a traitor or not, is very irrelevant, right? Because there was a gross act done by a leader, a religious leader, right? Who's being trusted, right? Spiritually trusted by thousands of people, right? And to violate this trust that way. None of this in that video is taken into account. Instead, it is spinned as Malcolm X is a traitor, but yet ignore the gross acts done or being that is rumored or confirmed or is being accused of someone of his high stature, Elijah Muhammad, right? So, lastly, I'll say, and this is you find I hear people in the chat saying men get away with this shit all the time. And this is how collective illusions. Everybody's cheering on and missing the gross act that this guy impregnated underage women, right? Just completely overlook that to attack a dead Malcolm X, right? So, lastly, I'll say this: if at the very least you would have to say that the Nation of Islam is deserving of blame for Malcolm's death. And here's why. Malcolm X brought the Nation of Islam to its prominence during the civil rights era, correct? Right? It grew very fast in members during his leadership, right? During a climate where America was a, was enemies with black folk, right? Literally. So at the very least, the Nation of Islam should have protected Malcolm because the Nation of Islam rode the wave of black liberation all the way to its prominence. And still today, it rides this wave of black liberation. Was Malcolm X not black before he was Muslim? The Nation of Islam, right, was one of the civil rights groups out there, right, during that era, making big moves in the civil rights movement. And for an incident like this to take place and they take a back seat for Black America's civil rights or revolutionary leader and not to protect them, I think it's a disgusting act, and I think this is why you see the Nation of Islam today is plateaued. I don't think Louis Farrakhan is
Hey,
correct in saying that the Nation of Islam is going to be a nation in the future. I don't think it's good. It would grow any further than it has because of these conspiracies. But
Hey, hold
hey,
nonetheless,
on,
thank
if
you
I
for
could
letting me
just
speak.
say,
hold on,
let
Cap.
me just clarify my statement, then you got it, Malcolm. When I'm talking about, just to give a timeline, when I'm talking about Malcolm as a traitor, I'm talking about the order that he disobeyed. I'm not talking about him exposing whatever Elijah was doing because you're supposed to do that. I'm just simply saying when he was told, like, let's say if he was told not to speak and he didn't speak and he followed that order and then he did what he did or whatever, I wouldn't be talking about Malcolm being a traitor at all. I'm not saying he's a traitor for exposing that. I want that to be clear. I also think The Nation of Islam are pieces of shit for killing them. Because from all evidence that we see, it was a Muslim from mosque in Newark, New Jersey, that killed him. I just want that position to be clear. When I'm talking about
Hey,
Malcolm
now,
being a
hold on,
traitor,
Captain.
I'm only talking about. I'm gonna give it to you, Malcolm. His name Malcolm. They call Malcolm a traitor. His name Malcolm. But I would just want that to be clear of what I'm saying.
Okay,
Malcolm, you
yes,
got it.
sir. Hold on.
Okay.
Come
Before
on,
before
Cap.
you speak, Malcolm, I have a question for you. Just
Come
hold on. I
on,
just have a quick
Captain.
Elijah
question.
Muhammad
No,
with
Hold
jelly.
on 1 second. I just have a quick question,
sis, you
just so I
just
can
derailing the
pick.
conversation,
Hold,
Hey,
though.
if it's her room
hold
and
on.
she say hold up, then you hold up.
I'm not taking too long. I promise. I appreciate you all for being here. Captain, just so I can better understand and picture this, is what Malcolm X was to the NOI, would that be your position in the ISUPK? Is that like, would that be like the ranking structure, more or less, or no?
No, it would. I would never compare ISUBK to nothing of the Nation of Islam, but no, that would not be the same.
Okay. Go ahead, Malcolm. That's really all of my question, literally.
Yeah, I understand, but respectfully, sis, we came in here to have a dialogue with people, but at least allow us to deal with these points because it'll go all over the place and we can't even deal with it. And
I
people.
would like to respond as well.
So I wanted to respond, right? So, and I asked you a question for a reason because you keep mentioning this O.J. Simpson book, but you keep leaving out the point, and I think it's intellectually dishonest for anybody who listened to that audio and keep bringing it back to the traitor, the traitor, the traitor, but it's completely leaving out the part where he said we were told to leave Malcolm alone. Y'all completely ignoring that fact. Two,
Your Muslim brothers ignored it.
hold on. Two, ignore what?
They ignored the order themselves. That's why the man from Mosque 27 killed
Okay,
him.
well, I'm getting ready to deal with that. I'm getting ready to deal with that because you mentioned William Bradley, right? So for two, when we go down to what some of the things Mando said, his intentions is he's a Nation of Islam hater, and I give him that label because the first thing he did was label the nation as a cult when he came on stage, right? But his points are highly unreasonable in regards to Brother Minister Malcolm X. Why? Two reasons. When we deal with the wives of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, see, people want to run with this teenage secretary stuff, but there was never a time um in
I got the
court.
ages right here
Hold
too.
on, hold on,
You heard me?
hold on.
Malcolm. You heard what
Yeah,
I said?
yeah,
I
go
said
ahead.
I got the ages right here too if you need them.
Thank you. Yeah, but hold on, we gonna see what people really at with it with this scholarship. There's a Queens County eviction trial in 1964. Transcript Muhammad's Temple of Islam Incorporated versus Malcolm X Little, Queens County Civil Court. We have the actual document with Malcolm's actual words. And he stated, they would rather take the public court than keep it private among the Muslims simply because I told Joseph that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had taken on 9 wives. He said this in court. He didn't say nothing about no teenage secretaries in eviction trial, right? He never said anything about a teenage secretary when he was put out the mosque. In fact, we got a 40 plus minute audio where Brother Minister Malcolm not only apologizes, but he mentions every single sister by name. So he knew every single one of them. Mando, I'm pretty sure you can't name at least one of those sisters. Two, you said that it was completely disgusting that the Nation of Islam didn't protect Minister Malcolm. But what you failed to tell the people that it was Minister Malcolm X who decided in March of 1964 to announce to the world that he was leaving the Nation of Islam. He wasn't kicked all the way out. He was put out on F time. But he made the decision, influences from people like James Shabazz, to leave the nation altogether. So once you leave the nation, we have no obligation to protect you. Malcolm X had his own men to protect him. He had 2 organizations, Muslim Mosque Incorporated and the OAAU. He had two of his own organizations, and his people carried weapons, which was against the Nation of Islam. We didn't believe in carrying weapons. And to deal with Brother Captain Tazariak's point, and then I will land. When we deal with the Malcolm, Who Killed Malcolm X documentary on Netflix, a lot of you all don't know that that is a limited hangout. A limited hangout is a FBI operation to where they show you a lesser crime to hide a greater crime. And many of those people who were in the documentary we have documented were high level FBI and NYPD bossy agents who helped orchestrated the assassination of brother Minister Malcolm X. So when the brother mentioned um the shotgun man, William Bradley. But what Brother Cap fails to tell you all that William Bradley was not only a special forces Green Beret, but he also didn't tell you that William Bradley worked with the FBI and the NYPD bossy and was seen going in and out of the NYPD's office, right? So we know that what they did with William Bradley is they took this decorated Marine and also slash Green Beret. They took this decorated Marine and they took his military file and they sent it to the CIA and they scrubbed his file, sent them into the community, and they created what you call a legacy. A legacy is basically you have a CIA or FBI operative who goes into certain environments or certain communities and start pretending like they are gangsters and thugs. So he started building up his legacy so he started catching charges and stuff like that, right? So once he built up his legacy, he joined the mosque and became a lieutenant in the mosque. All the while, he was still working with the CIA and NYPD bosses. So we got the documentation.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now we have others on the stage who have yet to
Hey, so
speak.
he
Oh,
stayed in the Nation of Islam till he died. So nobody
That
knew this
is
about him
false. He was a Sunni
until he
Muslim.
died.
What are you talking about?
He was up with
No,
Cory
sir.
Booker. No problem. It's on the interview.
He
It's in
was
the
a Sunni
documentary.
Muslim. He left
No, he
New
went
York.
to Al Islam, Cap. In the interview, in the Netflix documentary, he is in the Sunni community, brother.
You said he's in the what?
He's in the Orthodox community, brother. In the
He's a
Netflix
Muslim, right?
documentary.
You said
No,
you saying
you said he
no.
remained
Hear
in
what
the
I'm
Nation of
asking. No,
Islam.
I'm gonna react. So you saying after he killed Malcolm, he left the Nation of Islam?
He was never a real member of the Nation of Islam to begin with.
How could he not be a real member? But y'all said he was a member, but he was COINTEL. Either he was a member, y'all didn't know he was
Bro,
COINTEL,
I just
or he
explained
was a
it to
member.
you. I
I
just
got, I
explained it
got,
to you. He was a
I get
CIA
exactly what you explained.
operative working
I
for the
get, I get that.
CIA and
Hold on, Malcolm.
NYPD to infiltrate the
Malcolm,
mosque.
Malcolm, you ain't gotta do all that. What you saying is that he was a member, but he was somebody that the CIA sent in to infiltrate
Okay,
No,
y'all.
so let me
That's
reverse
what
it
you're
on
saying.
you.
I get
Let
that.
me
an
reverse it. Hold
informant
on.
that
Let me
became a
reverse it on
member
you.
to
So,
infiltrate the Nation of Islam.
so
That's what I just said. Like, why y'all playing semantics? All I'm asking is, okay, so he was a undercover agent for the white man, infiltrated y'all. He kills Malcolm. Did he stop being a Nation of Islam member after that? Or was it over time? Because y'all saying by the documentary came out, he was a Sunni or Orthodox
Over
type of
time in
Muslim.
prison.
you said oh he was in the nation. This
Oh
is
my
what you
God.
said. This is what you said.
I said,
No,
what I
no.
said
You
was
said
he was in
all
the
the way
nation.
up to
I
when he
could
was
tell you what I said.
bro,
Right. I
bro,
could tell bro,
bro. You
Malcolm, I
said
don't know why you
he had
so antsy, man.
interviewed
Relax.
Cory Booker.
Y'all
Did you not just say
corrected.
that?
I don't
Slow
mind
down.
y'all.
You
Listen,
said he
brother,
was in the nation
brother, I
all
don't know
the way
why
up
you're
till
doing
he
that.
died.
I
You
right.
just
And then
said that.
somebody came up. I did say that. I'm not
Okay.
saying I didn't say that. But what
No,
I
no.
and so some I'm not saying I didn't say it. That's why I don't know why you're so antsy. So when I made that statement, somebody came on mic and said, no, he was a Sunni Muslim or Orthodox Muslim. So then my question was, did he stop being a Nation of Islam Muslim after he killed Malcolm? And then somebody just said, no, it happened over time in prison. I'm not
Yeah, it
taking
happened
away
over
what I
time in prison. Yeah.
right. So I don't know why you're doing
Okay.
all that,
Okay.
Malcolm. So don't act like right. So what I'm my point is, don't act like nobody knew he was. Excuse me. Don't act like he wasn't still a Muslim after he
No.
killed Malcolm. Whether he changed his type of Muslim later, he still was working in y'all mosque, and it was under y'all. and he killed him.
Cesaria. Now let me respond real quick, right? You came off your mic and you said Malcolm was in, I mean the William Bradley was in the nation all the way up till he died. My response to you was no, he was not. He was a Sunni Muslim in Al Islam when he died. That's the context. So what we are saying is the brother was a CIA agent and a bossy FBI agent. He worked with both organizations. He infiltrated the nation, and then he was eventually put out for beating a brother up. He was out on F time, wearing the beard and everything. We don't wear beards. At the time of Malcolm's death,
Right,
he
I get that, Malcolm. I get.
let me
I'm
finish.
rocking with you. I'm
Let me
sorry,
finish.
good.
I just want to finish. He killed Brother Minister Malcolm. You never hear about that William Bradley dude again. And then he becomes a Sunni Muslim when Wharf Dean took over the nation.
No,
That's it.
I get your timeline, but you're proving my point. He still was a Nation of Islam member after he killed Malcolm. It wasn't until, like you just said, he beat up some brother that he got put on timeout. So he
No,
still
that
was
was
a member
before
of your.
Malcolm's assassination.
No, he was out of the mosque before he even killed Malcolm, bro. Because on the documentary, on the Netflix documentary, when they
I'm
show
gonna have to
when
check.
they
I don't believe that. I'm gonna have to
We
check it
have a
out.
documentary.
We
and
could
when they,
pause it. We
and when they show
we
you, they show you in the documentary because he
they
has a
don't show
beard.
that. They don't
He
show
has
that
a
because they
beard.
named the mosque he was a part of.
You
I
gotta let
ain't
the
talk
brother
about the
finish.
beard part. Like when y'all talk about today's time, I'm not gonna argue with y'all because y'all don't wear beards. You're right. What I'm talking about is during that time in the mosque that they say he was a part of during that time. That's the
Historically,
part
we
that
So,
never wore beards.
what we're trying to explain to
I just
you,
said. I
Captain.
agree with y'all with the beard, but in the '60s when Malcolm was killed, he didn't have a
Because
beard.
he wasn't in the
Captain
mosque.
Tazariak, yes, he did. They had the picture on Netflix. You said you watched
I'll show.
Netflix.
No problem, brother.
Yes,
Relax.
sir.
No problem.
Yes, sir.
All I'll do, I wish the documentary was still on there because it just seems like y'all deflecting from the fact that he was a part of there. Maybe that was his disguise to
No,
have a
I'm gonna
beard
tell
so
you
he
what
could
you're
shoot
doing.
Malcolm in with.
Oh,
I'm gonna
now
tell
he
you
had
what
a
you're doing,
disguise
right?
on.
I'm gonna tell you what you're doing.
What am I
That's
doing?
like if Katazar is really ain't he really an agent, and
Uh huh.
he comes to ISUPK, right, and he commit
Hmm.
a and he's put out, but he commits a heinous crime, and but we still lump him in
Does he
the
commit
law.
the crime
Oh,
before he's put out? No, I'm
hold
just,
on, hold on.
brother. I'm just trying to walk.
Let me
Y'all
finish.
be so antsy.
But let
I'm
me
just
do
trying
it.
to
You cut
follow.
me off. Quit cutting me
No, I'm
off,
trying to follow your story. Are you saying he committed the crime while we still think he's a member?
bro.
That's all
Look,
I'm asking you.
listen to me. Listen to me. If he comes in a agent, he is just wearing a costume. He's not really that. Is what I'm
Calm
trying to get
I
down,
got
Malcolm.
you.
He
at.
just asking a question because I want to
Hold
understand
on,
too,
real quick.
brother.
Can I please finish? That's
Hey,
it.
Malcolm, I get that part. He comes in, but he's pretending that he's one of us,
That's
but he
that's
really an
but
agent
but,
working for
but,
somebody else, right?
but what is being done to us, which is not fair, is that the agents is being lumped in with the real ones. So we're not even separating the wheat from the air. We just saying, oh,
Okay,
well,
so
he got registered.
here's how that could happen. So here's how that could happen because to get that close to Malcolm, to have done what he done is not something unless you're saying he was just a wild card. He only acted on his own. He was the only one involved with it. Are you saying he didn't influence nobody else that was an agent?
Bro, bro,
You
That
need
was
me
a
for
part.
bro,
anything?
they were all,
You don't need me for anything, do
they
you?
were all
I'm just
They were all
asking.
there was a conspiracy to where they were all being trained by a CIA agent by the name of Seizu Takahara. We have all this documented that he was what he was doing was he was recruiting brothers who used to be in the mosque like him as well, and they did the act that they did. So what I'm
Uh,
saying, so what I'm saying
so are
is
you saying y'all security wasn't good enough? Oh, wow, I can't
no,
say y'all.
it wasn't
See,
even
you keep moving the goalpost, to Zarek, and that ain't
I'm
fair.
not
You know, you're
moving
being
no goalposts,
disingenuous.
but the
Now
more
you're talking
y'all
about their
give up
security.
information,
Oh, so your
wait,
security
the more
wasn't good enough.
we,
He's trying to
the reason
explain
why I say
something to you,
security,
and you
I
keep
get
cutting the
exactly
brother
what y'all saying.
off, and you don't let him finish
I'm
his
not
point
cutting
because
them
you say,
off,
I
but
get what you're
because
he
saying.
I'm
wasn't
in
Yeah,
the
you
he
are.
Malcolm have an
organization,
issue with being questioned, though. You see what
because
I'm
a
saying?
phenomenal. One second, brother.
Say
Because
less.
I'm in an organization that's about structure and order and security, this just all
he
sounds
wasn't in
like
the
breaches
nation.
and breakdown of.
That's why his security broke down. If you read
That's why you heard me say. That's why when I first said what it sounds like you talk about a breach in y'all security, then I said I can't really say y'all security. That's what I said. Because if Malcolm is not with y'all at the time, that would be his security, right?
correct, correct.
Right. So y'all just gotta listen. Y'all know y'all a little touchy about it because y'all got a hand in it. I
I
understand.
think it's important to
You
note
do,
that
you do.
you just
But
played a
anyway,
5 minute video with Farrakhan giving 12 different justifications on why Malcolm X could be killed or
it's
whatever, and then
no
at the end he said,
not
"Don't touch him."
justification.
Hey,
So any
hey, no.
any NOI
Well, I,
member could have
actually,
been
well,
hyped up
being
to
that,
kill
so
him.
what I'll do is I'll yield my conversation. Malcolm, you can yield your conversation. Nova will go to you, and then we'll go to other voices because Nova is the. Kim, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, we just the same thing you've said. We could go to Nova, and then we'll get
Okay,
other voices on the stage as well.
right. Because I believe Nova wants to speak to the interview that's been played twice. So Nova, you got the floor.
Yes, I think it's important to note, like all of us who was listening to the Farrakhan interview, that like Kim was saying, he basically got everybody riled up and gave so many reasons why Malcolm X could or should be killed, and then at the very end, in a light tone, says, "But Elijah said not to touch him." So really, it could have been any NOI member that was hyped up to kill him. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really like it's just wild.
Okay,
No, but it couldn't be.
before
It
I
couldn't
open it
be.
up, hold on.
It
Before I
couldn't
open
be
it up
any
to the
NOI member
stage,
because we got the ones that
can
didn't
you
though.
guys hear me? Just for this, before I open it up to the stage, I will have brother King Cam speak because he hasn't really spoken much to just clarify some things, and then we'll get other voices who are non-moderators. Thank you. Go ahead, brother Cam.
Yes, ma'am. So first, I wanted to say that it seems like the conversation is becoming more of a back and forth for people who just want to be disagreeable, because what Brother Nova just mentioned about that it could have been any Nation of Islam member when Brother Malcolm just laid out the fact that we have the ones who actually committed the crime. So it couldn't have been any Nation of Islam member if you actually have the ones or the people who were complicit in the crime. And to what Captain Tazariak was saying earlier, if you watch the Netflix documentary, I know I have multiple times. He said he did watch it when they showed the photograph of William Bradley. William Bradley is bearded at the time that he's leaving the Autobahn ballroom. And if you know anything about the Nation of Islam, whether it's this dispensation of time or that dispensation of time, you don't wear beards. We don't wear beards as a part of the military. So that was a clear indication that William Bradley was not in the mosque at the time he pulled the shotgun on Malcolm X. Now, what he did prior to that, as far as him infiltrating the Nation of Islam and everything that Brother Malcolm laid out was actual facts. But at the time he killed Malcolm X when he wielded the shotgun, he was not an active member in the Nation of Islam. But it was being thrown around that he was a member after he shot him, and that's not true. And if you watch the Netflix documentary, then it exposes that fact. So I just wanted to lay that out there, as well as there have been we have been reading statements from those who were actually up around Malcolm X, the closest people to Brother Malcolm, whether it was his assistant, Brother James 67X, who was also very close to Malcolm. He actually was a part of the Nation of Islam and left the nation with Malcolm. And his what he said was the Nation of Islam did not kill Malcolm X. He said that, quote, he was easy to kill. They could have just sat in a car and waited for him to come home. Close quote. And then he said, who refused to let him land in France? So when you listen to the people that was actually there, because Captain Tazariak wasn't there, I wasn't there, Brother Malcolm wasn't there, Nova wasn't there, we weren't, none of us was there. But when we listen to the people that was there, like James 67X, or Sister Sarah Mitchell, or the wives of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we come to the conclusion that we somehow know more than the people who were actually involved and who were around at that particular time. So it sounds like that we don't want to yield to the actual facts of the situation, but we want to add in and take away from what we want to make the situation be because of the love and because of the affection that people have for Brother Malcolm, that you want to lay it at the step of the Nation of Islam. And and that's the case, that's fine. But be real about it. The evidence doesn't go with that. And we have to continue. We have to move forward and say, well, you know what? I don't like the Nation of Islam niggas, but damn, they didn't kill Malcolm. God damn, because it's just the facts. You can't emotionally wash away the information that's publicly available.
Okay,
So I
brother.
just wanted to make
Hey,
that out
brother,
there.
hey, to the brother. I think that when we have these conversations, you're correct. Like none of us was back there. And so we only going about not just one set of evidence, but you would even have to admit there's tons of different so-called evidences on who killed Malcolm, why he was killed, X, Y, Z, and that's why we go back and forth because Malcolm was a beloved brother. He was very spirited, very, very fiery, X, Y, Z. The reason why it falls at the hand of the Muslims is because of who he was affiliated with. There wasn't enough breakage of time from the nation to absolve the nation from any involvement, especially with all the suspicious behavior that goes around with it. So no matter how you twist the story, it does lie at your footsteps. If I was to die today, and it would be something similar to like how Malcolm got killed. It would be at ISUBK's footsteps because I'm involved with him. They would want to know why he didn't do none, X, Y, Z like that. So you can't say we want to put it out. I think it's because he was such a prominent. If Elijah is number one, Malcolm was number two at that time, as far as at least popularity. I'm not talking about your rank. I'm just talking about popularity. And so I
Yes,
think
sir.
that's what you know what I'm saying. So I think that's why people put it on Malcolm. Now the emotional part, I'm not speaking from no emotion, but from the emotional part, I see why they blame the Nation of Islam, and that's because of their love of Malcolm.
But
Let me
I'm
ask
Could
you a
it
but
be
question,
any
Captain.
member
Let me
with
ask
Well,
you a
with
let
question.
let
Let
with
me
brother
correct.
respond.
Mike,
Let me
And
Black. Go ahead.
let
Let me.
brother respond, being that I spoke directly to him, and then Kim, you
I
got it.
wanted to correct something that he said.
Wait,
Answer
hold
me.
on, Nova.
Oh,
Just
sorry,
let
my
him
bad.
respond. I spoke directly to him.
I got
So Nova, if you could take
And
about
Black
30 seconds,
Red
you can respond to
also,
me, and
I'd
then
like
Nova,
to
you can have it
respond to
after
you.
that. Hold on one second, Black. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. So, in response to that, you would be absolutely correct. I think the part that we are missing is that Malcolm wasn't just, a part of some gang or some, small organization, or Malcolm was just some local leader. Malcolm was actually an international statesman. So, because of that, it's similar to if someone high ranking in the United States government was to be murdered, there would be an investigation. There would not only be an investigation internally of whatever organization, obviously United States government being a part of it, but there would be an investigation from outside sources from the intelligence community as well. So not only do you have the Nation of Islam involved in this, but you have the United States government who investigated this assassination as well. So my question would be, if there was so much evidence that pointed towards the Nation of Islam, and that you had pretty much circumstantial evidence that would conclude with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan having some blame or culpability in it, then how is it that the community can come to that conclusion, but the United States government, with all of the resources from the intelligence community, I'm talking about satellites, I'm talking about transcripts, I'm talking about emails, I'm talking about all of the information, they got everything. They was taping calls. Remember, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was on wiretap. Malcolm was on wiretap. So you mean to tell me that they don't know that the Nation of Islam was involved? They don't have enough evidence based on what you said, Captain Tazaria, to come to the conclusion that they could be able to reasonably bring charges against the Nation of Islam or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who they've continuously attacked since that time and beyond. You mean to tell me that they haven't done that? Not to mention to the fact that the family has investigated this as well. They didn't come to that conclusion. Attorney Benjamin Crump is working with the family. They're looking to sue the United States government and the FBI and the CIA for the murder of Malcolm X, but not the Nation of Islam. So but the community has more evidence to put it on the Nation of Islam, but those with more resources somehow missed the culpability of the Nation of Islam, and they're taking the charges to the United States government. I want you to respond to
Okay,
that.
so let
Okay,
me say,
really. Oh, sorry.
I just want to say something really quickly. I don't want any of the members of the nation to feel like, oh, well, people on the stage who are speaking, they just are hard headed and don't want to listen. I think it would be helpful to look at it like, well, even if the speakers on stage are not yielding to your point, there are so many people in the gulag who are just listening from both perspective, and I'm pretty sure at least 20% will walk away with a different perspective, and that is worth much more than just the few people on stage. So I want you guys to be able to look at it from that perspective. We only have but a few people on stage, but the gulag is
Also,
where all the information is.
right.
I just
And
wanted to
also
say
to
that.
help out Kim, if anybody in the audience, if y'all have a question just that y'all want to ask, and then I'll just let them answer. You can just back chat me the question, and then I'll ask it to the brothers because I believe this is for them specifically, being that they are the Nation of Islam. So if y'all have any questions, just back chat me the questions, and then I'll give the questions to Malcolm or brother or brother. Wait, let me see. I'll call you Cam because both of y'all names say brother on here. So I know brother Ben and brother Cam and Malcolm. If y'all got any questions, y'all just send them to me, and then I'll ask.
Well, in my
Okay, and
statement,
I think.
I like to ask a question in my statement.
All
Hold on,
right, hold
I
on
had
one
one quick
second.
thing
Hold on,
Go
for.
hold
ahead.
on.
There's
No,
a new
Nova is
speaker.
next. Hold on. No, after Nova, then
Oh yeah,
you
mine was really
speak.
quick. I just wanted to say,
Okay.
brother Ken, when I said it could be anybody, and I don't think you misinterpreted it on purpose. I didn't mean like it was a big mystery. What I'm saying is, with the fervor that Louis Farrakhan had the whole crowd behind him when he was talking about dealing with Malcolm X, dealing with him in his own words. I'm saying it could have been anybody, as in they could have got anybody with enough emotion, or maybe a lone wolf would have been hyped up enough to go kill Malcolm. That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying it could be anybody like it's a big mystery. And I don't think you did that on purpose, giving you the benefit of the doubt. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And also, I don't know, Brother Cam, I'm not sure if you realize it. When you mentioned that, okay, the FBI did their investigation as well, and they have exonerated the nation. I'm not saying this is your intent, but it does come across like appealing to authority. Well, the government didn't find this to be wrong. Why are anybody else finding this to be wrong? It just means appeal to authority in the same way. Well,
Especially when the government sent them in there to do it.
Well,
So
I definitely didn't hear.
Oh no, no, Malcolm. I'm not trying to bring any contention.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I'm listening to an argument just in the same way. Where, for example, the government is making the trans identity okay. Does that mean that it's
No, no,
okay?
no.
No.
This is
So we
what
don't want to
this is what
appeal
Cam
to
is saying.
authority in that way.
Cam,
Okay, well,
this is what he's
Malcolm,
saying.
just
Hold on,
take
this is what
one
he's saying.
minute, and he has to go to Black
Okay,
Horse. I think he
great,
wanted to
great.
speak next.
Yes, ma'am. Just be real quick. What Cam is saying is that why is not only the government they not even saying the nation did it or didn't do it. They not saying nothing. What Cam is saying that the people that was around Malcolm X are saying that the Nation of Islam didn't do it, but it's the people is saying that he did do it, and he's pointing out that there's something wrong with that. If the government ain't saying nothing, but the people that was around Malcolm is saying they didn't do it. But the people who ain't wasn't even around is saying he didn't do it. They didn't do it. It's something wrong with that.
Hey,
Okay,
Malcolm
and
X, would you
okay, hold
agree?
on one second, guys.
Uh,
We have about 280 people in the room. Guys, share the room. It's a respectful conversation today. If you haven't done so, it's easy. Click the arrow at the bottom of your screen that's facing up and just hit share on
hey,
Clubhouse. We should be
hey,
able to get to about one. Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. We should be able to get about 100 shares. That's what she was about to say. If everybody can just go ahead and share the room, we appreciate the support. If you're on the stage and you got that little red ticket, if you could just click join the house, we'll definitely let you join the house. Um, Black, Garfield, I know you had something you wanted to say after Garfield, and Black, I believe you wanted to say something as well. And again, I do have people sending me questions, and I'll ask those brothers those questions after we get some more voices. Garfield, you got it.
Oh,
hey, peace
you're
and
gonna
love.
skip over and give it to Garfield, huh? She told me I was next, but go ahead.
No,
No
I know
problem.
you
brother,
That's
guys got that
brother,
connection. It's all good. Go ahead, Garfield.
I'll step back. I'll step back. If
What?
no,
Ken
I
can
know
he
allow
yielded
Garfield's
me,
to
gonna be
you.
I'll step
long
back.
Yeah,
winded. If I know
he's going.
Garfield, he's gonna have a lot. You know what I mean?
No,
So
I don't have much to say at all. I don't have
well,
much
go,
to say. Let me
well,
just say
go,
this real
wait,
quick.
It's
just
okay,
no.
Garfield.
Hold on, Garfield. Let Black feel special. Go ahead,
no,
Black.
I ain't trying to feel
I'm just
All right,
special.
messing
no
with you,
problem.
brother.
That's all
I'm just
good.
messing
I'm
with
not
you, brother.
tripping.
But you got it.
Real
Go
quick,
ahead.
what organization was Fred Hampton in? I want to preface by asking that question to you,
He
Captain.
was a Black Panther.
Okay, he was a Black Panther. Now, his head of security is the one who drugged him in order for him to be assassinated. Is that correct? Okay, I guess that everybody agrees. But we don't blame the Black Panther Party for killing Fred Hampton, do we? Because his head of security was an infiltrator, an FBI stooge who infiltrated the organization and ultimately got in a position where he could put drugs into the brother's drink or food and allow him to be assassinated. And we acknowledge that. So we don't say the Black Panthers killed Fred Hampton. We don't put it on the organization, but somehow we want to do that to the Nation of Islam. Minister Farrakhan in that 5 minute video, people want to point out the fact that he said, what if we did do it, what business is it of yours? and then you want to try to compare that to O.J. Simpson. You know, the brother was speaking to people who believed that the Nation of Islam killed Malcolm. He's speaking to those people specifically. He just laid out a litany of reasons why they left him alone. But then he was asking a question. It's like, but what, even if we did do it, if we dealt with a traitor the way that a nation deals with a traitor, then what business is it of yours, even if we did? He's not saying we did it, but he's saying stay the fuck out of it because it's none of your business. This man was an obvious traitor. And let me illustrate how much he was a traitor. If you guys remember the videotape that Malcolm secretly recorded of the FBI coming to his home, Malcolm recorded that video where they were saying, you know, other disgruntled people who leave their organizations, they usually come to us and they tell us something about the organization, and they kept running down. And is there anything you can tell us about Elijah Muhammad? Or is there anything? And Malcolm in the video in that recording kept saying, no, I ain't the one. I'm not gonna, you're not gonna get it from me. But months later, here you have Malcolm going to the white man, telling the white man about Elijah Muhammad, doing exactly what the FBI suggested he should do in this recording where he denied he would do it. He ends up doing exactly that, going to Mike Wallace and going to other Caucasians and making up stuff, using language like teenage secretaries. When in court, he used the language wives because he knew they were wives. But in the court of public opinion, he was trying to paint a narrative. So he was absolutely a traitor. He was lying, and he was going to the enemy after the FBI gave him instructions on what to do. All you got to do is just tell us something. I'm sure you have something. So yes, the man was absolutely a traitor. But to make the point, Minister Farrakhan, when he said, if we dealt with him as a nation deals with a traitor, what business is it of yours? He's telling you, shut the fuck up. It ain't none of your goddamn business anyway. We didn't do it, but why are you complaining? Because every nation deals with their traitors. So that's all I wanted to say.
All right, Garfield, you got it.
Yeah, to add on to what he said, actually Malcolm did testify against Elijah in Chicago, I think it is, and Malcolm Flex can correct me. He actually did literally expose certain things beyond the scope of what we doing as far as what we talking about. So he actually did go in court, physical court, and testify. Let me say this. We have to be honest on both sides. For the Nation of Islam side, I hate to use a street term. Y'all gotta eat that because certain things y'all gotta eat. I'm gonna tell y'all why. If you look at what the truth is, as from what we know the guys from the Newark mosque. Some of them is what's said to have played a role with Talmadge Hayer and killed Malcolm X. Those are the guys. They went to the door. And a matter of fact, my first jujitsu teacher, when I used to train at where Mosque 7C was in Brooklyn, Wentworth Collide, he was a bodyguard for Malcolm X. He said they called him and said Malcolm was not going to speak that day, right? That's what the FBI agent did, or whoever did that. So he didn't even know Malcolm was speaking at the ballroom. He thought it got canceled. So he didn't show up until he saw Malcolm being wheeled out on a stretcher. So now, is it the NOI doing that? No, that's a part of the whole boss program, the undercover FBI program, what's going on to make sure that Malcolm got assassinated. Now, what he told me is that Malcolm decided not to search. I don't know why. Why would he approve of that? I have no idea. But the brother just brought up something very important that I forgot about. Gene Roberts was an agent in Malcolm X group, and then he became an agent further on for the government in the Black Panther Party. And he was walking around like nothing happened. Years later, talking, doing interviews like, "Hey, I did this and da 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 da." We're not mad with Gene Roberts, but he played a role in setting up our leaders. So our love that we say we have for people sometimes is hypocritical because we only like people when it's sometimes it's like we'll cheer for Malcolm just to bang on the Nation of Islam. And then we cheer for the Nation of Islam to bang on somebody that doesn't like the Nation of Islam. You know what I'm saying? It's like we don't know where to stand. But the truth of the matter is this though. The brothers in Newark, New Jersey had something to do with Malcolm. They came up to the door, they saw that they wasn't searching. They went in, they went back to the car, got the guns and went in and shot Malcolm up. That's pretty much what happened. Where did these guys come from? The two of the guys that got arrested won a lawsuit like 3-4 months ago, right? When Aisha Shabazz came out and said that she filed a lawsuit. That same day it came out that those two guys were not involved. Although they did time, they got over $100 million. The guys that actually shot Malcolm never got arrested, except for Talmadge here. Those guys are attached to the Newark mosque. How Farrakhan got involved because Farrakhan was the rotating minister that came from Boston to Newark that same Sunday. So that's how he's involved in all the, the vibes of Farrakhan is involved in all that stuff. But the truth of the matter is, were those guys that literally shot Malcolm, were they agents? Were they work for the FBI? Did John Ali, who they claim met with Talmadge Hay, I think the night before in a hotel, was he an FBI agent? That's been talked about too. That he was. He actually admitted that. If I'm wrong again, Malcolm Flex, correct me. So these are people in Elijah Muhammad's inner circles who are FBI agents. So now you got to see that it's bigger than just saying Elijah did this or the Nation of Islam did this. Why is the FBI doing this? They said they want to cause a rift between Malcolm. They want to break Malcolm and Elijah up, and that's going to destroy the Nation of Islam. They want to stop the rise of a black Messiah. So at the end of the day, though, the FBI played a role, but the Nation of Islam keeps saying their angle is that those guys were FBI agents. I don't know. Maybe they played on their emotions and worked it with somebody else and whatever. But who takes responsibility for those guys within that group? You know what I'm saying? But I'll yield right there.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on stage? Just flash your mic if you have yet to speak and would like to chime in.
Hey, can I ask one of the questions? These random questions. And this is for the Nation of Islam to answer. I only got 3 questions, I think, so far. And I'll just one of them I'm not gonna ask. I don't think it's worth asking. Brother Panah asked, is there any paperwork on Malcolm X working for the FBI? That's a question from the audience. If y'all don't want to answer, y'all don't have to. But
No,
these are the questions. Go ahead, Malcolm. He's gonna answer.
yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, there is no proof or evidence that suggests Brother Minister Malcolm directly worked with the FBI. We don't believe that. We personally believe that he was a victim of the FBI because, as Brother Garfield mentioned, in the documents where the FBI said that they wanted to create a rift between Brother Minister Malcolm and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, there's also in the FBI documents where the FBI learned of the other wives of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and they specifically said or planned that they wanted to use that information and they wanted to send out fake letters, phone calls, and approach certain members of the Nation of Islam, letting them know of this situation with the messenger because they wanted to use that information to turn his followers against him. So Malcolm, is approached by Wallace D. Muhammad with this critical information, and then and so Malcolm is like he ain't even he met the sisters and he knew some of the sisters, so Malcolm is not even pressing the issue about
Hey,
this.
Malcolm.
Yeah,
That
go ahead.
that part you mentioned about Wallace B. Muhammad. What do you mean with that part?
Yeah, so Wallace approached Brother Minister Malcolm, telling him of the wise of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad because he had no knowledge of it. But Wallace denied it, but we have audio of Malcolm admitting that it was Wallace. So when the messenger found out that it was his son, the minister in that 5-6 minute audio that I played you all, the minister said that Malcolm and Wallace was put out the mosque because of slack talking gossip. That is a law in the
I
nation.
got you.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
law.
Okay. So you saying Malcolm got his info from Wallace? That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
I
so,
appreciate
so
that.
basically, just to
And
sum it up, just to sum it
So,
up,
I'm sorry, brother. Listen. I just kind of let.
who is this? I just want to sum it
Okay. If
up.
you
I just
just
want to wrap
came
it
in
up.
late, just mute your mic, brother. Let Malcolm
Yeah, I
finish.
just want to wrap it up. So to answer the brother's question, no, we have no proof or evidence that he ever worked with the FBI, but we believe that he was given information that was created by the FBI. Even the H.L. Hunt information saying that the H.L. Hunt bankrolled the nation. That was FBI. That was an FBI operation. But and we believe that he used FBI's information against his teacher, but we don't believe that he was directly working for them.
Okay, and the second question, and for those that are sending questions, if it could be on topic, if it's not on topic, I'm not going to read it. The second question was, did uh, Farrakhan go to the Malcolm X funeral or any other Muslim member go to Farrakhan's funeral? I mean, Malcolm X funeral.
That I have no knowledge of.
No sweat. All right. Now the floor could be open back
Hold
up.
on.
Oh,
If the person
Okay.
is excommunicated, Tazaria, I don't think you're allowed to actually go.
okay. Yeah, that was from the audit. These questions I
Yeah.
just read off, they people message them to
You
me.
know,
They not my
Yeah.
I'm
questions.
sorry, brother. Listen, I got to make my statement here, man. Can I please?
Okay, go ahead. What is it?
So I wanted to state that the Nation of Islam is the equivalency of Mormonism in white religions, right? Specifically Christianity. It is a bunch of bullshit, right?
Hey, hold on a
Um,
second, Eric. Right now, we're not necessarily talking about the Nation of Islam practices. The title of the room is "What is the Nation of?" Well, technically, yeah. I thought it was just about Malcolm, but it is. It does say "What is the Nation of Islam?" Hey, Malcolm, are y'all fine with dealing with this type of topic?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it
Yes,
is.
sir.
All right, no sweat. All right,
right.
Eric, you
So
got it.
yeah,
Just so you
so
know, I'm
Arabs
trying to
ran
be
the
fair.
Arabs ran the slave trade. Okay, they do not. I mean,
Okay,
Islam as a
Eric,
religion.
just hold on that. We can get into the theology,
Hey,
but
Kim, they said they was
just hold
fine
on.
with it. That I tried to do just what you did.
Yeah.
I asked Malcolm and them if they was fine with that question. They said, yeah. That's why I let it go.
Yeah, but we don't have to
Yeah,
do
not
all
But
not
that.
right
do
now, not right
Messing the
now, because
energy all up, man.
I asked them that. That's why I
not
let it
at
be
this
in their
moment.
hands. I was not wasn't gonna do it. I thought Malcolm was gonna say no. He said,
Well,
yeah.
well,
no.
No,
I,
Well,
it's okay.
my thing
We
is
can,
if they have a
we can hold
question,
on,
what's wrong with it?
hold on. We can just address it. We will address it, just not at this very moment, because we have, we're just talking about something else. Okay, flash your mic if you would like to chime
I would
into
like to.
what we have just.
So is
Who
it
was
just
that?
if they
This
ask a
is
Who
question
was
Nina.
about
that?
Malcolm X?
This is Nina.
No, it's not. But there is a transition, right? We can transition to theology. Absolutely. Who is that lady that
That's
was speaking? Oh,
this is
Connie.
Nina in the.
Oh, go ahead, Nina.
Hi, Kim. Earlier you had, it wasn't a question exactly, but it was a comment on Malcolm's suspension for talking about Kennedy's assassination. I just wanted to clarify why he was suspended and why the ministers were instructed not to speak on that. It wasn't about appealing to white people or respectability politics, like you kind of alluded to. You're right. The Nation of Islam is a Black nationalist organization, and so there's no necessity to appeal to white power. What it was is that Black leaders were under persecution from the United States government, particularly Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad. And so Elijah Muhammad didn't want any reason for the United States to further their persecution of Malcolm X. He didn't want to give the ministers a reason to be under attack. It was a very sensitive time in United States history. The president had been assassinated. And so that's why he instructed the ministers not to speak. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, we have to cater to white people and their feelings. It was more about protecting the minister, Malcolm.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Flash your mic if you haven't
Let
spoken
me
and would
let
like
me.
to speak. If you have, oh, go ahead, Miss Connie.
Well,
Let's hear from ladies. Go ahead, Connie. Miss Connie, can you guys hear me?
yeah.
Yes, we hear
yeah,
you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Connie, you flashed your mic if you want to speak. She said you can go ahead and speak. You there, Connie? You keep unmuting, but you're muting back up.
Well, let me just add to what the sister just said. It was
Go
also
One
ahead,
second,
Connie.
dude. One second, dude. Connie, we can't hear you if you're talking. I see you unmuted, but we can't hear you. All right, well, Connie get her mic together. I think Black wanted to say
yeah.
something.
I was
Okay. Is
also
there anyone on stage who haven't spoken and would like to speak? I know 2X CEO.
You got
I
Kojo.
just like to add to what the sister just said.
Hold on, Black, dude. Jesus. I tried to give it to you, but Kim said, something else. So you got Kojo that didn't speak. Anybody else? 2X CEO. Anybody else? All right, Kojo, you got it. And just
Peace,
remember what you was gonna say, Black, and then we'll come back to you.
Can you guys hear
Uh,
me?
we can hear you
Can you hear
now,
Yes.
me?
Connie.
Hello. 1 2 1 2.
Hold on one second, Kojo. We can hear you now, Connie.
I'll wait. I'll wait till after him. No, no, ma'am.
Okay,
No,
go
no.
ahead,
You
Kojo.
go. You go ahead, sis. Go ahead. Okay, then give me a few minutes. I just want to come on here and just make the statement about, we think with our own thoughts and our own feelings and our own heart and our own ways, which could lead us to more confusion. We got to get away from that and go on facts and not our own beliefs and narrative. We can all agree on that the way Malcolm X was eliminated was crucial. And this just reminds me of our open enemies who sought out to do just what was intended to happen: separation of our Black people. I just had a statement. I just had to make that.
Thank you, Connie.
All right. Thank you, Connie.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think it was Kojo that was next, and let me table my question is for Black Rage because I did receive that in the back channel as well. Black Rage was sure to make a comment about um, the Elijah Muhammad's partners. They weren't. Malcolm X has said they were teenagers, but they were wives. You can be a so being a wife just means that you are a female. So were they young females? Because you could be a young female and unfortunately and sadly you could still be a wife. So I wasn't sure why you used the word wife. Were they teenagers? But that will table that. Go ahead, Mr. Kojo.
Who is your question to?
Not to you, it was Black Rage, but go ahead, you have the floor.
All right. Yeah, that was a heavy gaslight right there. I'm just really raising the point that this is a quite concerning um issue that is divisive for us as a community, as a people, as a in all of our organizational and political and cultural organized bodies, as even us as individuals, to continuously have this conversation over the assassination and murder of Minister Malcolm X, whether it be at the hands of the Nation of Islam or at the hands of the federal government, which we clearly know that this was incited, it was carried out, it was paid off. $5 gunman to $100,000 gunman on salary. It was clearly orchestrated from within the government as our organizations were continuously infiltrated. And our organizations to this day are continuously infiltrated and monitored. So this is a really divisive conversation that we're having, though for historical record, it is still needed to make it clear as to as to who these people are in history, and particularly to Black people and Brown people in all over the world. But it's really concerning to me to sit and hear, though I feel is valid, I feel is necessary to have the conversation, which is why I stayed on stage and I stayed in the audience listening before I made a comment. But family, and I say that on purpose, whether you're Hebrew Israelite, whether you NOI, FOI, MGT, whether you 5%, whether you're a Christian or Orthodox Muslim, Hebrew, Judeo-Christian, whatever. When we dealing with white supremacy, we dealing with a fight that we all have to stand square, 10 toes down for our freedom. This is why we create the organizations that we've created over the years, from Marcus Garvey all the way up until now at ISUPK. Straight facts. So please, we're going international in this conversation. We're not just talking to local Black people and brown people here in the United States. We in the Caribbean, we in England, so gaslighting a conversation, yo, really. And I know the work that the brothers in ISUPK do. I know the work in the NOI. I
Mr.
know the work in
Kojo,
the Panther.
Mr. Kojo,
No, ma'am.
Mr.
I'm
Kojo,
not finished. Let me
Miss,
land, and then
Miss,
you can.
Mr.
A
Kojo,
moderator can interrupt you.
Mr.
No, it's like
Kojo. The title of the room today is what you see at the top. Any criticism that you may have as to why we're having the conversation, we welcome that.
that's not
Just
my
type it
point,
up in the back.
beloved. That's not my
Hold
point.
on 1 second. Hold
That's
on 1 second. Just type. Just hold on. Just type it up and send it to me in a back channel, and we would gladly take your recommendations under advisement. But at this time, your submission should be geared towards the title. I appreciate it.
this is geared towards the title. We are dealing with a serious person within our historical landscape. So this is very important that we be careful how we deal in this conversation, not to gaslight it. The conversation is absolutely necessary. Was the Nation of Islam who killed Malcolm X, or was it the FBI? I am clear as to what I'm stating in my statement. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. So what I'm saying to us as a family, we can have the conversation. Let's not gaslight the conversation. I yield the mic.
Hey, I appreciate you gaslighting. Yielding. The reason why you look at it as gaslighting is because of the things that's coming up. But what you failing to realize is these are rumors and stuff like that. That whether rumors are facts, these are questions that come up, and we have Muslim brothers that can actually answer those questions. So it's not gaslighting to hear somebody say wife when we are a teenage and you want to get clarity. That's not gaslighting. That's asking questions and getting clarity. Who was next after Kojo? I think
It
it was
was
Connie.
Black Rage to
I'm
answer
sorry,
my
Black Rage.
question. Yeah, Black Rage.
Okay.
That was my. Can you Black Rage? My question is very direct. Just give me a yes or no, because we have others to speak. Okay. My question is: you mentioned there were wives, but Malcolm X said teenagers. My question is: were those wives teenagers? Yes or no?
The first answer was no, but please give me 30 seconds to respond to that because my point was that in the media, Malcolm was trying to paint the picture of pedophilia and out of wedlock births. In other words, he was trying to paint the picture of immorality. But when he was actually in the court of law, as Garfield mentioned, when he was actually in the court of law, he didn't say anything about teenage out of wedlock births or teenage having a relationship with teenager. In court, he used the term wives, period. In other words, in the court of law, he didn't try to paint any immoral picture. He used the term wives. But when he's out in the media, he used the term teenage secretaries.
Oh,
So that's the distinction I was
Now,
trying to
Black, hey,
make.
Black, can I just ask a hypothetical or a supposed type of question, right? And then you can respond, of course. And I say this because I heard Malcolm speak about CIA informant or whatever. So could you say that Malcolm wouldn't say teenagers in court to not get him in trouble with the so-called white man, but in public opinion he tells the truth? Would that be an option on the table or no?
But why, if he's trying to out that situation, why wouldn't he say it in court?
Because
Because in the media, he's trying to get him in trouble.
no, what I'm saying is like in court, it's like, then the so-called white man can come and, lock him up, do whatever. I don't know what the fuck he thought was gonna happen. But what I'm saying is if he didn't want to if he only wanted to damage his reputation in public opinion, but not the judicial system, could that be a reason why he's chose to turn wives instead of teenagers? I'm just asking.
I would say no, only because even in at the media, when he went to the media, they still could have come up and investigated and brought up charges if that's what they wanted to do and if that's what they were looking for, which exactly that was what they were looking for. But obviously, they didn't find it to be true, so there was nothing brought up. Because I would say no.
Yeah, I would
Okay, no sweat.
also say no as well, Cap, to that one, because if that was the case, he wouldn't have mentioned somebody trying to kill him. Now, Malcolm, brother King Cam mentioned that he eventually uh, made a statement that, based on what he was experiencing, couldn't was probably higher up and was not the Nation of Islam. But if that was his motive, to where I'm just saying something, but I'm not going to say anything that'll put him in jail. Well, we know that saying somebody is, trying to kill you, that can lead to crime and be going to jail as well. So I would say no.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
but
think that
we
would
know the reason. Okay, and this will be my last point. The reason why I say that is because we know a lot of us, if we from the hood or I don't want to hope nobody get offended by that term. I'm not. But we do say certain things, but then there's something called street justice as opposed to public justice. So what we say to each other in the street and what we say in the court of law are two different things that takes place all the time. Where somebody might go to, let's say somebody gets shot or robbed, and they know who did it. When the police come, they say, "No, I don't know who did it," but the whole neighborhood knows who does it. We do know that happened. That's what made me ask that question. That's all. And I'm just being objective. That's all. But that is
Yes,
a
sir.
fact where we
But,
won't tell the courts the truth, but the neighborhood, everybody else knows the truth.
but
That's
keep
why
in
I'm asking the
mind,
question.
Captain, that he
Right.
wasn't talking to the neighborhood because Malcolm had the neighborhood's ear. He can go speak anywhere he wanted to. He can stand on the corner and get the neighborhood. He was talking to the white media.
Right.
That's a
I no,
difference.
I agree.
Right.
But if he
And the
don't
most honorable
testify,
Elijah
if
Muhammad
it's
wasn't
on
in the
record,
streets.
like if it's on record now, the government can use that against him. All you have
But
is just media reports, and then he can say something different in court because he don't want him to go to jail. I don't think Malcolm wanted to go to jail. I just think wanted anybody to go to jail. I think he just wanted to hurt him. I think that was the point. But y'all, you can continue, brother. I just wanted to add that part to it. That's all.
Hey, Cap, check your message.
Yeah, to respond to that real quick, in regards to the wise, people don't even understand the context of what happened at that period. The reason why Malcolm did what he did, because he had left the nation, and he said after he left the nation, Elijah Muhammad will always be my leader and teacher, and I will always teach the messengers program. I just felt like I can't teach the messengers program within inside the nation. But the reason why he made the decision that he made to slander his teacher ultimately was because the house he was getting ready to get evicted from the house. So we have a timeline, a chronological proof of evidence that Malcolm was cool all the way up to the point where he was getting ready to get evicted. So when you see the infamous interview with him talking to the white media, and he said, "I know something about Elijah Muhammad fathering these fathering children by these women." And he said what he said, but that was literally walking out of the courthouse when he said it to the white media. So I myself, and others, we have done extensive research on these sisters, and we know every single one of these sisters and who they are. And I have proven, or we have proven, that none of these sisters who Malcolm mentions in this 40-minute audio that we have, because he mentioned most of them, right? He never said they were teenage secretaries. We have done extensive research proving without a shadow of a doubt that none of them were teenagers or underage secretaries. And Brother King Cam has in his possession right now each each name and age of who those sisters were.
That's excellent. And again, I was
Can I,
just asking the
Cap,
question from a
check your message.
hypothetical, but I think
can I,
that's
can,
an excellent part that you brought out, Malcolm.
can I
And just so y'all know, after, and I know this was a part, and just so if everybody's wondering why we talk about the teenage part, because if you're a woman or if you're against pedophile, which I'm pretty sure Malcolm and all of them are against, this is why getting this clarity or clarified is important. After this, I know people have questions about the doctrine, which Malcolm and them said they will entertain. We just want to kind of keep it in order. So after we do this part, and if anybody has a question about doctrine today,
hey, let me jump. Can I jump in?
yeah.
All right, cool. Hey, just to add on, I did a show in February, and Brother Malcolm X actually played a role in that show, and we actually brought out the evidence of the birth dates of each of the quote unquote wives. So, if anyone is interested, they could go on my channel, or they could go on Malcolm Flex's YouTube channel, or Brother Garfield podcast, and
Hey,
it
send
was
me the
in
link. I
February.
could pin it to the top.
Yeah, it was in February. I
Yeah,
think February 28th was the
no,
was the
you do
show.
the
But
work,
yeah, I'm gonna
nigga.
do
Don't
that in
make
a
me do
second.
the work. You do the work.
Yeah, no, I got you.
All
And
right, that's fine.
but I want to say this though. One thing that puzzled me for like the last 30 years of studying Malcolm, right? The whole tribe of Shabazz and Yaqub story is from Elijah Muhammad, Master Farad Muhammad teaching. I was wondering, why would Malcolm still keep the name Shabazz if he had a problem with Elijah Muhammad?
I,
Because
I
think
always
about this
ask
for a
that
second.
question.
I went to you might know, brother. I'm gonna let you go in. But I'm saying he went to Mecca, became a Sunni Muslim or whatever Muslim he became. But he still had that name at the end, El Hal Shabazz. It always come to me, and all his children are named Shabazz. And this is all from Elijah Muhammad's teachings. that Shabazz stuff. So
If it's
I
not an
wanted to know.
offensive name, you don't have to change it when you become
No,
Orthodox Muslim.
yeah, yeah, I know, but that no, no, great point. But I'm like, why keep an attachment to Elijah Muhammad? That's what I was saying. Go ahead, my
Okay,
brother. The brother that was cutting
they're
in.
saying that that's not factual, but we are going to move to doctrine in about 3 minutes.
What are they saying?
Uh,
What are they
What's
saying?
not
Is hold,
factual?
hey
Why do
Kim,
we stay
I'm
Kim,
so
what's that?
sorry.
smooth, pastor? What's not factual?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh,
about to do, Ben.
I was just
I'm about
reading
to
the
get
chat.
clarity on that. What are they
Oh,
saying is not
the chat,
factual?
the name Shabazz that he didn't get it from Elijah.
Oh,
He
okay.
he
So
Where
what?
else can
Say
who
Ben,
did he get it from?
Ben,
nowhere else
hey
that
Ben,
that teaching is
hey Ben,
Yes,
real
sir.
real fat. I'm just trying to get out of the Malcolm side because that'll be more doctrinal side. So I think we're gonna wrap this side up in 3 minutes, and then of course you can address that
I think
the Malcolm
there's
the
Well,
Shabazz
devils.
part.
let me
Devil's a
respond, Garfield.
liar.
Unless everybody's done with the teenage part, we can segue right into that, and then Ben, you got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just
devil's a
want to.
liar wants to speak. So Black, you have like 1 minute, and then devil's a liar who hasn't spoken at all
That's fine.
can then speak.
I concur with Brother Garfield, and I ask that question all the time to the people who say Malcolm left the nation and doesn't want to be the nation. He did learn about Shabazz from Elijah Muhammad. I even had a conversation with his grandson, one of his grandsons, many, many years back, online conversation, and I asked them, "Why do you have the name Shabazz?" He didn't even have the answer to that question. But Garfield's absolutely right. Elijah Muhammad is the one who taught Malcolm about Shabazz, and why would he hold on to that name if he had this disdain for the Nation of Islam and this separation from the Nation of Islam? That's a good point, Garfield. Much respect.
You know,
All
I'll be
right.
thinking that same question, but from a different perspective. But
Thank you. Go ahead, devil's a liar.
Okay, I only want to say one thing, and just of I believe it was last year, I was listening to Farrakhan on something, and he said that Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, is Jesus Christ. Now, the anointed one from God, Jesus Christ, Elijah Muhammad, and that's pretty much all I gotta say on it. And if
Wait,
he
for
says that,
real?
Google it.
Well, that's changing the
No, no,
topic
hold on,
though.
no, no. That's actually taking us to
No, no,
doctrine. Go ahead,
that's
devil's a
finishing
liar.
no, but if we're gonna wait in
me.
fairness, if we're gonna
Oh
segue,
my
brother,
goodness. So
brother, I wish.
so
What here's what I would prefer, right? If a moderator is talking, we just bring in moderation. We're not trying to stop nobody from talking. We're just here to moderate. That's all I'm doing. So, in fairness, Brother Ben was going to answer the Shabazz question. And I said, when we segue to this type of conversation, I would yield to him first. So, all I'm saying, devil is a liar, being that we're going to segue into more of a doctrinal perspective, I do want to be a man of my word and give the floor to Ben X. And then you can go right after that, because that's what I told him. So, Ben X, if you want to come off mute and address the Shabazz part, you got it. And then devil is a liar, you got it right after that.
yes, I just want to point out it just seems a little unfair. I got to point this out. When the brother came up to ask a question about, Nation of Islam, we was like, "Hey man, it's fine. Go ahead and ask your question." It was no hostility. You know what I mean? Then when the brother wants to, talk about something doctrine that is finna seem like it's finna be something negative, now we can transition. We was trying to answer the question last time. So I just want to point it out. But the Malcolm X situation, he learned that from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I see somebody put, well, no, he got that from Noble Drew Ali. Nope. Or I guess you're saying that Noble Drew Ali originated it. Somebody could have, whoever originated before Noble Drew Ali. The point is that he got it and learned it from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He actually has a tape. Malcolm X himself in an interview when a guy was asking him about, the division or is there anything going on between them. He said, "I am. I learned everything. I got everything from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He made me everything I am and taught me everything that I know." This is Brother Malcolm X's words. So even if you're saying he is in another book or another teacher taught on it, the point is he got it directly from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, no matter who it's originated from or who you think originated it. So he kept the Shabazz and he got lectures teaching on this because he got it from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So that was the point I wanted to wrap up.
Hey, Ben, what was that first part you were speaking to? The first part you was talking about.
Yeah, earlier somebody was trying to ask a question, and we was like, "Well, that's when you ask, hey man, can I ask a question?" We was like, "Yeah, go ahead and ask your question." It's about doctrine. It was like, "Well, we're not gonna deal with that right now. We ain't over that." But now the brother came on and he's talking about something that seemed like he's finna come on with, something a little negative, maybe. Now we can move past it. I was like, let us just answer the question. I know we got a
Oh no,
part.
oh, okay, I get what you're saying. No, we wanted to kind of keep it like on the Malcolm X subject first, because once you get into, like you said, the doctrine side, then Malcolm is going to be forgotten. So I just wanted to make sure we got all of that out the way, and then we could get into more of a doctrinal question. That was my call.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah, it was about Kim more so, not you. You good?
Oh, okay, no sweat. All right, devil is a lie. You got it, brother. That's promise.
Thank you very much. Uh, like I was saying, last year I had been listening uh, to the nation and their leader Farrakhan on more than one occasion. He spoke about. He said he had to apologize for what all the things he said about Jesus, and then at the end of his conversation, he said the reason why he had to apologize is because Elijah Muhammad is really Jesus.
That's not true.
Now, Google it. I
No, I'm
know it
not.
ain't true, but
No,
I know it's not true, but I'm saying what came out of not my mouth, but out of that man's mouth.
no, no.
Google it. But
Okay,
what happens is,
hold on
can I
one
finish?
second.
Can I
Yes,
Hey,
finish?
you
hey,
Can
devil
I
is a
can.
lie.
finish?
Can you recap
You
what
can.
you
Can,
did,
oh
Hold
yeah,
on
that's
one
what I'm gonna
second.
do. That's
Mr.
what I'm gonna
Devil,
do.
Mr. Devil, hold on. What I was just gonna say
Mr.
quickly
Devil
is
is crazy.
because he mentioned Jesus, that clearly is a segue that we can use into doctrine and religion. So that's why I said he can go ahead because this is gonna lead us right into doctrine. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Devil.
Okay, like I was saying, uh, Elijah Muhammad on more than one occasion these last few years had he 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 did his little meetings or whatever, and then he talked. First, he talked about how he had to apologize for the things that he said about Jesus. Then he made a nice little long speech, but then he waits to the end of the speech. And then at the end of the speech, he says, because Elijah Muhammad is Jesus. That's why. And he said, but he waits to the end of the speech to say the reason why he's saying all what he's saying is because Elijah Muhammad from New York or wherever he's from, but not from Nazareth, is Jesus, the Messiah who came to save the world from their sins. And you can Google that. And
So let me
I'm
ask you.
done.
Yeah. So are you saying that? Is your point, like I'm trying to get what your point is? Your point is that he
My
said he
my
apologized for
my
everything
point
that
is, if whether if it was 60 years ago or 7 years ago, if you have a believer who thinks that Elijah Muhammad is the Son of God, is the Messiah, or the Messiah who came and saved the world, then you are totally in a demonic doctrine,
well,
or
that's fine. That's
totally
your opinion.
screwed
But
up
my
in the
question,
top of the brain. One of the two.
listen to what my question is. My question is, are you saying the minister said he had to apologize for what he taught about Jesus and about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad being Jesus? Are you saying that was his point?
Yeah. His point was he had to apologize because now he realized that Elijah Muhammad is Jesus.
Wait, that don't make any
Okay,
sense.
so
So
what
you
we're gonna
saying he apologized because now he realizes that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is Jesus?
Listen, brother. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. Okay,
I repeated exactly what you said.
okay. I'm finna say it again. All right. In the beginning, when he was talking, he said he had to apologize. Okay. And then at the end, when he was talking, the most important thing about what he said at the end is that Elijah Muhammad is Jesus.
Okay, I still don't
He
understand
said,
what I just said.
Elijah, listen, okay, well, just dwell on this part. Dwell on this for a minute. He said, Elijah Muhammad is Jesus.
Yes, we believe that. What's your point though?
I
Okay,
did not know
exactly.
that.
What's the
Yeah,
point?
My point
Hold
is,
on,
I
devil.
Wait,
think
wait, wait.
everybody need to know that
Wait,
that's
devil.
what you
One
believe.
second,
Everybody need to know that's
devil,
what you believe.
devil. Just back up for a second,
Yeah,
brother
but
Ben. You
but
said,
the thing
hold
about
up,
that is
hey,
the
brother
Honorable
Ben.
Elijah Muhammad.
brother Ben, I got you said y'all believe that. Am I correct?
Yes, the honorable minister Louis Farrakhan been saying that for decades. We know y'all
Wait.
disagree, but
I
he
don't
been
know.
saying that
Yeah,
since
no. I'm
since
not
the
talking about
mid
I've never
disagreeing.
heard
'70s.
Wait,
that.
hey, everybody, relax for one second. Ben, I've never heard that till today. That's why this is me, Captain
Captain
Desire, trying to
Cesare,
get
that's
clarity.
not that's not true because I know what video he was referring to. I already made a video about y'all
But
misconstruing what he said years ago. So you did see my
no.
video.
You
I made a
said no,
video
no,
for
no.
y'all.
Hold on. I didn't see your video. I don't see a lot of you online. I haven't seen your video.
I'm
But
talking about
what it
years
sounded
ago,
like.
man. You responded to it.
Well, maybe I forgot. But what I'm talking about is this brother said that Farrakhan said Elijah is Jesus. And you said y'all believe that. So I'm just trying to get that part. Y'all saying that Elijah is Jesus? That's what I'm trying to
Like
understand.
Jesus Christ?
He came and is not
Word?
somebody from 2,000 years ago. He is the one who is risen from the dead,
The
mentally and
Jesus
So, yeah,
Christ.
spiritually.
How is
Jesus?
this nigga
Mentally,
If,
Jesus?
y'all gonna,
if
Nah,
that's why my name is
somebody
Devil
cut.
is a
can
lie.
I finish? Can I
Devil
finish?
is a lie. You bought
Uh,
the bombshell of bomb.
Yeah,
Yes, you can, Ben. Yes, you can,
all right,
Ben.
cool.
Everybody be quiet. Let Ben finish.
All right, so one
This
to you,
nigga said
Captain
he Jesus.
Tazariak. You already
Mhm.
aware of this because we already had this
No,
back and
I
forth
would
before.
have been talking. Ben, word is
Hold
bond.
on, wait,
Maybe I
listen.
forgot. Wait, hold on, hold on.
I'm about
Because
to
you
tell
mentioned
you
my name,
why.
I'm gonna give it. I'm about to. Oh, tell me why. Good. I'm sorry.
Y'all already made a video about the minister saying this. I made a response video to y'all. Your whole camp was making
Can
response
you send
videos
it to
to
me?
me.
I don't.
It's probably
When I
still
tell
on
you I don't
YouTube.
remember. Yeah, if you can send it to me. When I tell you I
I'll
don't
back channel
remember
it to you.
that, because I had debated. I had debated this Muslim like 2 years ago. I would have bought that shit up then. Like that's what I'm
Hey,
saying. That's what I'm saying. I must have
I'll
hey,
back.
forgot.
Cap, I just found a
Yeah,
clip. I'll
Yeah,
back
I've
I'll
channel it
back
to
never
you.
channel.
I
heard
found the
that, but
clip.
we about to have a ball today.
hey, brother,
Good
brother.
lord.
Yeah, I'll back channel it to you. The
All
video
right, no
Hey,
sweat.
response that I did because it was several of y'all that made the video. First, the brother is misquoting the
If
minister.
I
The
made
someone
it.
minister
has a
never.
Did.
short clip, send it to me and I'll play this short
Yeah,
clip. But yeah, this is a good point to start about
Yeah.
Jesus. And
yeah.
So
Elijah
after
Muhammad is
so
after
Jesus.
brother, we'll go to Mr. Joel.
Hey,
so
you
first
you
the
can
Hey,
handle
Ben
first
X,
the
yourself.
is it
minister.
on your channel?
No,
Hey,
you know they
Cap,
done terminated
Cap,
both
you
my
believe
channels.
you
It's
Oh
believe
it's
no,
on
I
my
in
didn't
the
know
other
that.
channel.
Messiah? What you talking about?
No, I
Hold on,
don't.
wait. Let me finish
I
my
don't
point. Let
believe.
me
Wait,
answer. Let
hold
me
up,
answer the
Ben. Ben,
question.
you can't. He can't yell out stuff like that, and then I don't
But I
quit. I'm
can't.
just.
But y'all not
But
even
he
letting me
yelled
finish the
out,
first
Let him
question
go,
though.
brother.
I
Cap.
Then
can't
you gotta
finish the
talk to
first question.
Malcolm. Hey, Ben, you gotta talk to Malcolm. I'm just gonna respond to him, and it's right back to you. Tell Malcolm not to blurt stupid
No,
shit out.
Cap. Let him
We
go,
do not
Cap. You
believe.
One
We
catch a
do
red
second.
not. Hold on.
line.
One
But
second.
can y'all? That's gonna be a whole back and forth y'all
It's
finna do.
not
I'm just
gonna be
trying
a
to
back
wrap
and
up what
forth.
the
He
brother
made a
saying.
statement. I'm gonna respond to the statement. Nobody else is gonna talk but you. It ain't gonna take but 20
You probably
seconds.
can't write it down and let the brother
No
finish.
one,
That's
Just
what I'm
no
remember
saying.
and
one.
hold your
No, I could do
peace.
what I
Golly,
want.
the brother.
Like the time that y'all wasting, I would have been done. Malcolm
I
made a
could have been
statement that
done
we
too. He
believe.
was on the
Y'all
whole
still
time.
talk. You're still talking. You're still talking. Malcolm, your boy Ben blurted out that lie. I'm just clearing up the lie. Malcolm blurted out that we believe Commander Jenny Han is the Messiah. We don't have no Messiah but one, and that's Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shah Mashiach. Commander Jenny Han is just our highest ranking man in our organization. Period. He's not a Messiah. You got it, Ben. See how
Thank
simple that was?
you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, but the thing is, like the sister, she made us mods first. Y'all kept saying that, hey, mods can interrupt. Now the mods can override the mods who
Facts.
already trying to answer
No, but
somebody
your
who asked the
mod
question. Like,
blurted out a
golly.
false accusation. I just wanted to clear it up. Now we about to
Uh,
go back and forth
Yeah,
about I was
but
done in
I'm
10
trying to
seconds.
address the.
Right, but
Okay,
I
that's
was
fine.
done in 10
sorry,
seconds.
y'all.
All right,
You can
fine.
take.
You got it. At the end of the day, you already said what you had to say. All I'm just trying to point out is the fairness. I'm trying to first clear up something that was said falsely too. It ain't gonna take me that long. So now yours is more important than mine because Malcolm done
Okay, so
blurted out.
just go
Fine, you got it.
ahead.
You already
Just
said
go
it. Fine,
ahead.
cool, it's good. Now the brother who you didn't tell me to just go ahead, golly. So, anyways, the person who said the minister said I apologize. The minister never used the word I apologize. He's speaking about when he was speaking at Reverend Clayton's church. He had on I think a black suit. He says, I know I have to pay a price for what I've been teaching. That's actually the words verbatim of what he said, because many Hebrew Israelites found that was they, oh, I got him now. And it was actually false on the interpretation of what the minister said. Again, I've already made these videos response to many of y'all who already made that video. He said he had to pay a price for what he's been teaching, meaning the truth of what he's been teaching. He never went against what he said. Because a lot of them was taking that video and saying, well, look, The minister finally admits that he's been lying and he's gonna pay a price for lying. No, he was saying paying a price for telling the truth. So if you guys want to go watch the video in full context, he was speaking at a church. I think it was Reverend Clayton's church. Somebody also put it in the chat as well. And that's what he was saying. He never apologized. He never apologized for saying the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is Jesus or anything like that or the Messiah. That's not true.
Yeah, he
Ben,
can.
so now I remember what you was talking about, what we responded to. We didn't respond to when I listened to him, I didn't hear, or maybe I misheard. When we responded to was him apologizing. Like you said, we assuming he was the problem. I have to say assume based on what you're saying. I'm speaking in retrospect, but when we responded, we was responding for him of what we perceived as him lying, saying, he owes an apology for what he was teaching. What I'm talking about today is I did not hear him say that Elijah Muhammad was Jesus. So I do remember now that you telling the story, the video that he made, what we said in response to it. But the part about him, y'all believing that he's Jesus Christ, I've never heard that until you just said it now. That's what
Okay,
I'm
so
saying.
at this point, we're going
Mm,
to now focus the conversation on Elijah Muhammad being Jesus Christ. I think the dialogue will be great with Mr.
we need to change
Joel
the
and
room title. Let
brother
me see.
with brother Ben X. So, Joel, do you want to have the dialogue?
Sure, I always love the chance to talk to my brothers for the nation.
Go ahead. And this is going to be between you and brother Ben X. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah,
that
any of the
Or
brothers
any
can
or
respond
anybody
before
from the
lunchtime.
yeah, I would say anybody from the Nation of Islam could respond. And then Joel is the primary. If anybody else wants to speak, of course, just say it. But that's going to be the order for now.
yo, Alfonso, what's up, man?
Peace, y'all. All peace, my brother.
My guy
His
right there.
name not Malcolm. Oh,
Nah,
I'm
that's
just I'm
brother
just joking.
Fonzo.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just
Cap
joking.
got jokes.
Now, Alfonso, you kept that a secret from me. I never knew that my brothers from the nation taught that Elijah Muhammad
That
was
ain't no
Christ.
secret.
I always had a. Go ahead.
No, that ain't no secret.
I didn't know that. I promise you, I didn't know that. You know. But that brings me to further questions because I know y'all teach from the Quran and the Bible at the same time. And unlike Orthodox Muslims, y'all don't necessarily reject the Bible completely. But I think, Alfonso, in a former conversation, you told me that Elijah Muhammad told you what parts of the Bible are true and what parts are fabrication. Am I correct with that?
I don't ever remember saying that the way you just said it. So I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that.
Well, well, there's certain things that don't. It's impossible to teach certain things from the Bible if you believe the Quran and vice versa.
Joel, I think what you're referring to is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad saying that a part of, I think, three-fourths of the Bible is prophecy. Like a lot of it is prophecy and not necessarily what happened in history. Exact parts, every single part has been taught. I'm not sure, but I think that's more so what you're referring to when we teach that a lot of it is prophecy versus all history.
Well, prophecy must come to pass. That's the Bible belief. The Israelites are always going to tell you that prophecy must come to pass. That's thus saith the Lord. Um, Events like history, like what you see in Kings and Chronicles, those are the writings of the scribes. But prophecy must come to pass. And that brings me to a question I always like to ask my Nation of Islam brothers. The Bible teaches that Christ has to die prophetically. It teaches that he must be killed to justify the nation prophetically. That's Isaiah. Also going into Zechariah and the Psalms. But the Quran teaches that Jesus Christ did not die, that there was someone else that died. And the fact that we think he died is completely conjecture. That's the words that are used. Now I know y'all actually have your own version of the Quran, as if I'm not mistaken,
No, sir,
Muhammad
that's
Ali.
incorrect. That's incorrect.
It's not the Muhammad Ali. Can you give me the details on that name?
No, it's the
I know it's
Malana.
Muhammad Ali something.
It's the Malana Muhammad Ali translation, and that's not authored by the Nation of Islam. So you said we have our own version. No, we just read from the translation of Malana Muhammad Ali or the Yusuf Ali version.
Now Yusuf Ali is gonna be what I would read from because that would be like the noble Quran, the clear, concise
That's right.
Quran. But I know that in the Can you say it one more time? The word before
The
Muhammad. What is the
Milano
name?
Muhammad Ali.
Milano. That one, it omits certain things like the chastisement of your wife, the part where you could strike her is omitted, and amongst other things. So it's they don't agree. Yusuf Ali's Quran wouldn't agree with the Milan Muhammad Ali Quran, but that's neither here nor there. That's splitting hairs because we could talk about that next if brothers want to. I know when I get into that, a lot of my NOI brothers like kind of, all right, I'm done with you. But I don't want y'all to treat me like that. These real questions, because I don't get this opportunity a lot. If prophetically Jesus Christ has to die, prophetically speaking, and the Gospels, which the Quran says we should believe, says he died, why does the Quran teach that there was a substitute and that he did not die? This would break prophecy and it will require me not to believe the gospel, which the Quran asked me to believe. This is the first question I have.
I've been down this road with you before, and we read the Quran verses, brother Yawa'el, and there's nowhere in the Quran where it says that Jesus had a body double. It was a stand-in look-alike for Jesus. That's nowhere in the Quran. We've been down this road already.
But that's how the Orthodox Muslims justify the fact that Christ did not die. I said, well,
And,
who died? They
and the
said there was someone made to appear like him.
right, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
orthodox.
Because the Prophet Muhammad
Hold
said
on,
so.
hold on. He talking to members
That's
of the
right.
nation.
The Orthodox Muslims, y'all are
Um,
not the people
they
I'm
have their
addressing.
own and tradition
And
in which
y'all
they teach.
racist. So I'm not really trying to deal
They
with y'all right now.
right. So they have their own tradition in which they teach. They even teach that it was Jabril who was the one who taught Prophet Muhammad and gave him prophecies. But in fact, that we've uncovered based on research and with empirical data that it was not Jabril who taught Prophet Muhammad. It was Allah Himself who taught Prophet Muhammad. So they have their own traditions. So that is not that is Arab that is Arab teaching. But no, when you go directly to the Quran, and this is our issues with them. When you go directly to the Quran, it doesn't say what they are saying. So we don't believe that.
Okay, but what
Just really
kind of
quickly
like
to
a
the mod,
departure?
guys. I don't remove people from rooms ever. Somebody's back channeled me and said they were removed from the room. If anyone knows our practice here, we don't remove anyone from the room, regardless of
Uh-uh.
how bashful they are to me or to Cap. Like, we just don't remove people from rooms.
Yeah,
So thank you. Go
I
ahead, Mr.
understand.
Joel.
Yeah,
All right.
I just want to address. Hold on. I
Yo,
just
hold
want to
up,
address a
Haitham.
point.
I'm not talking to you. Listen, when I talk to Orthodox Muslims,
I'm not
all I
addressing
want to
you. I'm
deal with,
addressing the other
all
guy.
I want to deal with when I talk to Orthodox Muslims is the inherent racism that is present in the history of your religion, from all of your Hafez and Quranic scholars from the 700s, 900s, and the early
It is
11th
not
century. I want to
racism,
deal
but
with
the
it.
inferiority complex that
Otherwise,
you
I don't want to
inherited
talk to
from
you.
your
I
Hey,
want
if
to
y'all
talk.
heard me, hey,
grandmother.
one second, y'all. If y'all heard me from the beginning, I said the conversation was between y'all all and the brothers from the Nation of
Correct.
Islam. If it's not in support of either side, we're gonna yield to that. So if someone is speaking on y'all all side in conjunction, then that's fine, or the Nation of Islam side. To the cat that's at the bottom, you speaking of something that's not on subject because I don't believe that the Nation of Islam believes everything that you're study or what your belief is. So let the conversation be between y'all all and those brothers, as I stated. Also, real briefly, since I had to interject, make sure y'all share the room. We got 309 people in here. We can get up to about 150, 160 shares. We would greatly appreciate that. Y'all all, you got the floor.
Can I
And when I
participate
Uh,
say you
because
got the
someone
floor,
said
that's to
something?
1 second. I got you. I'm gonna just move you down. You'll learn the hard way.
mhm.
So y'all all in Nation of Islam, y'all have the floor.
Excellent. So what I'm saying, Alfonso, is I understand your disagreement with Orthodox uh, Muslims, but what I'm saying is my disagreement with y'all brothers, because y'all teach from the Bible and the Quran at the same time. And the Quran does say that he did not die. And those that say he died, it is merely conjecture. But prophetically speaking, and the accounts which the Quran asks us to believe. In Surah 2 in the cow, it says those who follow Muhammad can neither read nor write, whom they find described in the Torah and the Gospel, which are with them. This is the 700s, the 8th century. So the Bible that I'm reading today is the manuscripts is based on are older than any Bible Muhammad would have possessed, because the manuscripts that my Bible's based on from the 4th century, the 8th, 9th century. That's for the Quran to say the Torah is with them. You're talking about the same Bible. So if I'm commanded to believe it, how is it gonna contradict? That's the only thing I don't understand about the NOI. It's like either you gotta take the Orthodox Muslim position and teach that the Bible is wholly corrupted, which you can't defend that position, and I debate that all the time with Orthodox Muslims. But
And
if you're
brother,
going to teach from both of them,
so,
Jesus Christ had to die, Alfonso. Your book says he didn't. How do you rationalize
but
it?
see, I understand your frustration, brother Yahweh, because you can't trap us with Sunni or Orthodox Islam doctrine, right? And I know it's frustrating, right? Because we keep telling you a lot of stuff that they talking about. We don't necessarily subscribe to that,
Hmm.
right? But when you look at the book, and I have to ask you a question,
Hmm.
because I mean this is common knowledge. Was not Jesus resurrected in the Bible? Or
Absolutely.
is he dead? Is he dead
No,
right now?
Jesus Christ died
Uh-huh.
and to be resurrected, you must die.
Right.
So that's my position. He died and was resurrected.
Right.
Not believing in that makes you antichrist.
Right. So the point of that, and the reason why I asked that, because from my understanding, based on what the Quran is saying, is that yes, he did die, but it doesn't necessarily go into the resurrection of this individual, but it's not saying that he's still not alive either. You understand what I'm saying? So
No, sir. I don't understand that
Bible,
answer.
real quick. Even the Bible said he died, but he was also resurrected. And I know that you don't believe in the dead Jesus, right? From my understanding, the Muslims don't believe in the dead Jesus.
No, no, no.
May
That's
I please say something really quickly? So somebody just said this. Is it true that Farrakhan said that Elijah revealed that he was Jesus to Farrakhan on a spaceship? Spaceship. Is that true?
oh shit.
I'm.
Yes,
Is
I
that
sent you the
No,
clip. I sent you the
no,
clip in your back channel of him
Yeah.
saying that.
Go ahead,
no.
brother.
He
okay?
didn't. No, he didn't reveal that on a spaceship. But let's finish this point first, and then we can
Hey,
get
can
to
you
the
send
clip.
me that clip too?
I
Whoever
think
had
it's
that
having a
clip.
good dialogue.
I got you, Cap.
Yeah, that's
What
wild.
he got from the
Now in Surah 4,
wheel was about the president's plans, about the Joint Chief of Staff. That's
Wait,
what
wait,
he
what's the
always says
wheel?
he got from the.
Hey,
like a chariot. That's
before we separate from that, I'm really just trying to get how do y'all substantiate, and I believe that's what y'all were all is referencing the whole Jesus Muhammad thing. I've never heard that. I'm just trying to see how is that substantiated. The conversation, of course, between Yahweh all and the Nation of Islam, and I believe, or at least I thought that's what y'all was talking about.
right. Yeah, we was talking about how you can't teach both things at the same time. Alfonso, nice with it though. Alfonso, I'm only asking one question. So in Surah 4 and 157, it says, "They say we killed Christ Jesus, the son of Mary, the messenger of Allah. But they killed him not, nor crucified him." This is Yusuf Ali. Yusuf Ali was one of the first to teach that Muhammad is found in the Bible. Anybody teaching that Muhammad is in the book of Isaiah, you are a student of Yusuf Ali. It says, "But they killed him not, nor crucified him, but so it was made to appear to them. And those who differ therein are full of doubts, with no certain knowledge, but only conjecture to follow. For of a surety they killed him not." So, prophetically speaking, Jesus Christ must die, and then the Gospels, all four witnesses say he did die. He was killed. The Acts of the Apostles also say that. And remember, the New Testament is ancient. Just because it's called New Testament don't mean it's new. It's ancient in comparison to the Quran. Quran is medieval document. So how can you thus tell me you're teaching from both books when one book says he must die and he did, and another says he surely did not die? I do not understand this.
Okay, so can I jump in? Because it's a lot of mixture going on.
Wait,
So
so
let's just
Mr.
split.
Mr. Elijah is not dead, right, brother? He's not dead, right?
No, ma'am, he's not. And then can we also
Okay.
correct the Muhammad? It's not M-O, it's M-U. So
What you mean by that, sir?
to who me?
Yes. What do you mean correct
No,
Mohammed.
I'm
What?
talking not you. I'm
The
not talking to
title
you.
at the
I'm talking
top.
about the title of the room.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Oh, I
Okay.
got you. You said with a U instead of the O.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I think it's correct. I think it's corrected. It looked
Yeah,
like
it's
that
good
Yeah,
anyway.
now.
they just changed it. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay,
cool.
okay. All right.
Yeah, it's good now. So, to your point, brother, y'all were all. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, that's how you would say it in the Hebrew. That is Joel.
Okay, okay, brother Joel. All right.
Either one.
So, what we dealing with here, to your point,
Hmm.
is that either Yusuf Ali uncovered the fact that there was two men that were present under the workings of Jesus for this to all make sense. Because in the scripture, in the Bible, you're absolutely correct. That historical Jesus did die. The
Hmm.
Quran is not refuting the historical Jesus dying. But to the point that Brother Malcolm made earlier, or Brother Ben made earlier, that the Quran and Bible are both 75% prophecy, 25% history, means that this particular part of the Quran that's dealing with the Jesus that did not die is prophetic, not historical.
I
So
don't understand.
I wanted to clear that, especially because also in the Quran, in Surah 19, verse 29, where it says that, but she pointed to him, they said, how should we speak to one a who is a child in the cradle? He said, I am indeed a servant of Allah and has given to me the book and be made a prophet. And then it further goes on to say that he would speak to the people from the cradle to the grave. And if someone is dead, as you as you said that the Bible clearly states that Jesus was killed, then there's no way physically that he could speak from the and a man in the old age as speak as a man in an old age if he was killed at the tender age of 33. Some scholars say 36. So you have to explain that phenomenon if you're going to say that the historical Jesus is indeed the Christ.
So now this is what I'm saying. Y'all got that from the treatise of Peter that Christ spoke from the cradle. That's a Gnostic gospel that doesn't appear in any of the gospels that Allah said that you must trust in. Remember, the Quran already told us that we must believe the revelation that was sent down before. And that revelation that was sent down before, this the 8th century is the law, the Psalms, and the gospel. The book of Revelation already accepted into canon, completed. This the 8th century. So the Bible I got today is the exact same. I accept that from no Muslim. No sophisticated Muslim should ever say that. The Bible that I have today is the exact same Bible that Muhammad would have had access to. It's the same. It's old. The manuscripts that my King James is based on is old, is 400 years older than the Quran. So you can't say like it was some other Bible. Now, why did I say that? Because you're not dealing with what I'm asking you, and I only have this one question. I respect the Nation of Islam. My father took me to see Farrakhan speak at the Robert Treat Hotel. I tell a story all the time. At the Robert Treat Hotel in Newark, New Jersey, when I was like 13 years old, it was so many people in the building. We had to watch him speak from the kitchen in the basement, and we was escorted out by security. And the brother showed my father and myself great respect. And Minister Farrakhan's message that day and his demonstration of how he spoke, it was magnetic. He's one of the greatest speakers. But when we talk about doctrine, my Bible commands me to search out a matter. So what I'm searching out is I'm actually uh I'm actually admonishing you. You can't teach from the Quran and the Bible at the same time because the Bible commands you to believe that Jesus Christ was killed and slain because he had to be. And then you got 4 witnesses and the apostles after telling you Jesus Christ died. Acts 5:30 said, you slew him and hung him on a tree. Him have our Father exalted. That Jesus. So for the Quran to say it is not true that Jesus Christ was killed and it was only made to appear that way, that breaks prophecy. And it leads me to believe that the author of the Quran is Antichrist. It is someone who has his own ideas. It cannot be the same God of the Bible and the same God in the Quran. They have to be different gods. And this is it's always been my position.
I push my Muslim brothers to come into the truth of you teach that you the Israelites.
Brother
I
Joel.
I put let me finish. I push for y'all to completely own that position because the Israelite scriptures disagree with the Ishmaelite scriptures. So if you are the children of Israel, then fully accept our scriptures.
Yes, sir. But
Bro,
you
can
just
I
posed a
can I ask him a
question,
quick question,
brother
brother Karen,
Joel.
just to clarify
Can
the question?
I? Okay, I just want to add on to Mr. Joel's question. Where is Elijah Muhammad today if he's not dead? Thank you.
Brother Joel, the question I was gonna ask you was with what you were just saying to brother Cam about him being slain, killed, and then resurrected. Are you saying a physical person was physically slain, killed? I'm assuming I don't know how they
Yes,
was.
that's what the
No,
law
no,
teaches
I
that
no, I got you. I got you.
that a
Put in the
body was
put in the
prepared.
put in the ground or whatever they did at that time, whatever their ritual was, and that
He
and
was
you
in a
believe that
catacomb with a stone
catacomb and
rolled in
that
front.
same and you're saying that same exact person came back alive after a period of time.
I'm not saying it. The scriptures that Allah told me to trust in say that.
Got it. So let me ask it this way: you're saying that that's the belief that is a physical person slain, died,
No,
killed,
it's not a
and then he
belief,
came
King.
back alive.
It's not a belief, King. It's written. This is what I'm saying. It's
Well,
written.
this is what I mean, because I know we're gonna play the word. This is what I
There's no
mean.
word game to
He
play.
was
Like I'm not
this.
adding
Just
to the
listen to my
scriptures.
perspective real quick. Just
Yes,
listen to
sir.
my
Yes, sir.
perspective real
Yes,
quick.
sir.
That's it.
Yes, sir. Yes,
What
sir.
I mean by that is like I can say certain things about the Nation of Islam. The reason I'm saying I believe is because I don't know. I'm not there. I wasn't there. So even if somebody say, "Hey, man, in 1975," technically I wasn't there to see it. That's all I'm saying when I say believe. I'm not saying, "Oh, it's belief, so it ain't the truth." That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is what you believe of the scripture, what you know of the scripture, however you want me to word it. You're saying your stance is a physical being was slain, killed, he died, and this same physical being gained oxygen again, start breathing again, and resurrected, and that's your stance.
Yes, that same physical being, while he was alive, resurrected others who were actual physical people who died. In the law and in the prophets, Elisha resurrected somebody. The law already taught that you can do that with the power of the God of the Bible. So it's not
I
a
got you.
stretch. So
So,
what I'm saying is, if that's the law that Allah commands me to trust in, and
mhm.
says your scriptures confirm, and I could read the surah if asked. I'm not going to put words in I'm not going to cheat to win. I read the Quran. So if it
no,
says that, then I can't believe it, because if it's confirming the scriptures from before, it must confirm that a body was prepared. Jesus Christ had to die. He then was resurrected and seen of men. That's
I
the
got,
only Christ.
I
Any
got
other
you.
Christ is
I'm,
antichrist.
I'm with you. So you believe the work that Jesus was
Hold
doing
on
was
one
a
second. May I please get my question
Hey,
answered? It's so
Cap, I gotta.
simple.
why do we
Hey,
have
But
to
Please.
Cap,
go
Sister Kim,
off of
hey, Cap, I can't
that's
do it
gonna
like
take
that,
the
Cap.
conversation in a whole nother direction. We
Yeah,
gotta
like
stay
Somebody say
Oh,
within
just
Cap.
the
okay.
this
light
question first.
topics.
At first, you didn't want us to go off the topic. Now we can go off
Okay,
the top. I'm
okay,
just trying to.
okay, okay, okay. You're right. Okay, I
You see,
just don't want my
hey, Cap, you see what I'm saying? Anyway,
I just don't want my question to be forgotten. That's
we
all.
got you. We're not gonna forget it like we didn't forget the other one that we waited for.
Thank
But yes,
you.
ma'am. Thank you, brother Joel. So you saying everything is physical, like when he talks about him resurrecting people from the dead, giving sight to the blind, and the stuff that we hear that Jesus' work was. You're saying that physically happened, like that was a real thing,
Like how you tried to tell me that he physically spoke as a child, like that he didn't do that. That's not recorded in
brother.
the
I never said
witnesses.
that. This brother Ben speaking.
Well, a brother just earlier said Jesus Christ's work to be finished. He would speak as a child and even into his old age.
I
Yeah,
got you.
that
I,
was
All I'm
me.
asking
That's
is
what
that are you saying it's physical? I'm saying that wasn't me. You said
yes, I
I
do
said
not. The only things that are metaphysical in the Bible, they tell you that's what it is. Jesus
okay.
Christ actually came.
I
He
got you.
actually walked.
So I think the difference.
There's earthly scholars who were witness to his
Wait,
life.
I have a
There's
clarifing question for Joel. You said
So
the Bible and the
yeah,
Hold on,
Quran.
hold on. Hold, oh, wait, wait,
What,
wait,
is the
wait,
Bible and the
wait,
Quran the same
wait.
age?
yeah.
Kaya, that's not for you to talk.
I,
You're a little late to the party. Oh, somebody moved it down. Good job. Because you're a
hey,
little
so
late to
brother,
the party. The conversation is between Yahweh and the Nation of Islam brothers. A moderator, of course, can interject. We do want to keep it on subject. So y'all got it.
So, Brother Joe, I think that's where the main difference is. We believe that these are spiritual things, and what Brother Ken was bringing out was it's not that it didn't happen, it's just that it's talking about two different time periods. When he's saying that he was made to appear, he's not talking about, or what Cam is saying, that we believe that. But it's not that we believe that the one from 2,000 years ago died and resurrected. It was one that was made to appear dead and not dead of this time, meaning the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So the reason I was asking about what's your interpretation of it, do you think that that is physical, is because we look at it from a spiritual perspective, like a person was spiritually being resurrected. So, with that being said, if you believe that that is a physical thing, how would you interpret John 14:12? And what I mean by that is in John 14:12, it says, those who believe, Jesus speaking, you would do the works that I'm doing. And if his works is giving sight to the blind and making the dumb speak and making the deaf hear, if we're following and we got that power of God by you all or us all following the Most High, none of us are physically going to the grave raising anybody up. But the work that y'all do and the work that somebody would do with the word would resurrect them spiritually and mentally. So that's why I'm saying I think that's more of a spiritual thing versus physical. Because if it was physical, we would still be able to do it based on John 14:12 if we true believers, like it says.
No, I disagree because what you're talking about, spiritual resurrection, would be explained in the book of Ezekiel, and Malcolm X taught this, one of his famous speeches, which is the Valley of the Dry Bones. The Nation of Islam's most powerful teachers always teach from the Bible to make profound points. Even Ezekiel's wheel is Ezekiel chapter 1.
Well, we not
Uh,
well, we agree. We agree with it. So it's not. We
let,
don't
let
look
me,
at it like, oh, that's
let
the
me,
Christian Bible. Like, it's truth in there. We agree.
and that's the only reason I took. Hey Ben, that's ask Alfonso. I debate Muslims all the time. They racist and they're very proud. They're taught to be fans of their religion before they're taught to be scholars. And they come with a preconception that the Bible is corrupt and anybody following it is stupid. And they talk to you like that. And then when they get in the deep water, the racism comes out. But my brothers from the Nation of Islam, y'all my brothers. I definitely prefer to talk to y'all. So I have no negative thoughts concerning y'all. I respect y'all brothers, but I want y'all to come into this thing all the way. What do I mean by that? If you teaching you the children of Israel, fully accept our scriptures because they was
Hey,
written by Israelites.
y'all, all, if I could just chime in real fast.
Go ahead,
Remember, I
Anwar.
did say if someone on y'all all side can speak, I'm on y'all all side. When you bring up John 14 and 12, that is, you can make it spiritual. But so, like, if you take the example he gave about Elijah, he physically raised the boy from the dead. If you take Christ, he physically raised Lazarus from the dead. Those are physical things. Christ himself died and physically came back alive. That's physical. That's why Yahweh all is asking you the question about first of all, Elijah living today. Well, he's not alive. I'm sorry, not physically anyway. Saying he's Jesus, and then so when you try to make it spiritual, it kind of takes away in comparison to Christ coming from the dead or Lazarus or the other examples y'all all did. You can't make it. You can't make those spiritual because those are physical things that happen. You can make the power spiritual to do it,
Right.
of course, but the resurrection itself is a physical being that was resurrected.
Right.
Yeah, I got
So
you. So
that
that's why
got you.
I brought up John 14:12 though. It says those who believe will do the works that I'm doing. So if that was the works that he's doing, why we not able to do it today
Well,
physically?
this
But
this
that's
is
Why we not
that
able to go
here.
that's
with the
This
okay.
is the
But
with the
that
power
would
that he
just
had to go
a
to the
simple
grave?
answer for that would just be that would just be a question of faith. Like so,
yes.
if we was to go into scriptures, Christ said, "These don't come but by fasting and praying." If you had the faith of a mustard seed, you could move a mountain. That still doesn't take away from you having to answer the question. So now we just answered your question. So why we not raising nobody from the dead? It could just be simple a matter of faith. Now we
Faith.
got past. So now we got past that. So we still right back to y'all all's question of him physically having to die, and then the Quran saying he did not physically
I
die, even though the text says that he physically died.
And the
got you.
Quran
So
says he
what Cam? I think
surely
Cam.
did not die. Surely he
Yeah, we
did not
got you.
die.
So that is speaking of, as Cam was stating, the honorable Elijah Muhammad. We don't believe he's dead. So with the when we say that when you say that Jesus died, we believe that's 2,000 years ago. So that's why I keep saying we're looking at the scripture of a spiritual thing versus a physical. When it talks about John 14
What
12,
can you
I
tell me
believe.
what spiritual on this subject? And I ain't trying to cut you off, I apologize, but just to get clarity, when you say what spiritual, remember we talk about Christ dying and resurrecting. Can you
Yeah.
tell me what about that story, not John 14 and 12? Because Christ was on the cross, he said, Labak Sabanai, I forget the whole term, and then it says he yielded up the spirit. They took him down, they put him in a cave, they came back and
Yeah.
he was gone because he read. So what about that is you would have to say and teach all of that is not physical but spiritual
Right. Yeah.
because that's what the
So
text says about him.
So from my perspective, we don't believe physical human beings can be slayed. You dead. You go into the, we can. I know it's gonna be it's well, we just got a lack of faith, whatever it is. But we don't believe that a physical human being can be literally killed. We're not talking about you in a coma for a little bit, you wasn't breathing, we brought you back to life. A person is literally dead, and this physical human being is finna be resurrected and come back from the dead. So that's number one. When we talk about Jesus from 2,000 years ago, okay, Jesus from 2,000 years ago is dead. Now, the reason I say you have to think about our perspective when it comes to us reading the scripture. Resurrection is a spiritual thing. Remember when I first said why we even believe that he's Jesus? He's one who's raised from the dead mentally and spiritually to come and raise the dead. So when y'all say, well, I guess we just don't have enough faith, or people, I guess all these years who haven't been able to do it, we don't have enough faith to go down to the graveyard and raise somebody from the dead. Our perspective is no, that's not necessarily true. Y'all do have power. Y'all have probably raised many people from the dead, but because y'all looking at it as it has to be a physical thing, I got to go raise grandmama physically or my old dead homie physically, then maybe we just don't have enough faith. When that, I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Ben,
We're
my
looking at it
question
as
was,
he
can you show me?
spiritually
He's
raised from
not
the
really
dead.
dealing with it
Ben,
in the
yeah,
scripture.
Ben, that wasn't my question. My question was, you would have to show me where. I mean, if I have to, maybe I got to pull it. Like the story of Christ physically dying, you would have to show me where that's spiritual
Right.
and not literal. And him
No.
rising up, where's that? Because not only did he rise up, he spoke again with the disciples. And
Yes.
then in Acts, the first chapter, as he was standing there, he ascended up into the clouds. That's the narrative. That's the
Yes.
story. So you would have to show me how that's spiritual, because if that's physical, then this is a man that physically died, physically resurrected, was seen by his disciples, and then physically was translated or taken up in the chariots.
So
That's
let
what
Right.
you
me
would have to.
let me
And our
interject.
teachings, Jesus the prophet from 2,000 years ago isn't the same Jesus the Christ.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's
So and
impossible.
so
I just, you said in y'all teachings, Jesus, the prophet that did the miracles, I'm assuming you're saying from the
2,000 years
Bible,
ago. 2,000 years
is
ago is not the Christ that will crush the wicked in this time period. Not the same being.
so
See that?
so okay,
So Christ isn't necessarily his last name. That is a function,
oh,
one who's
right, Christ is
anointed
Yeah,
to
we
definitely
know
crush
that.
not
the
as, that's
wicked.
why you, right. So we I would agree with you. Christ just means anointed. It wasn't no last names back then. So his name would just be Jesus. We would say Yahweh. So you're saying that Yahweh that we're talking about from 2,000 years ago is not who y'all are talking about today?
Yeah, it's not the one who would be alive today from 2,000 years ago. That same body being
So,
that would be alive
so
today. That's
got you.
anointed.
So Elijah Muhammad is not the Yahweh from 2,000 years ago. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely
So
not.
absolutely not.
you're trying to use it as a parallel type of teaching, or you're trying to use it as he's the one that was prophesied to come from the Bible?
Exactly.
No,
He's the one
no,
who is
which one? No, I
prophesied
gave
to
two
come that
sides.
will be raised from the dead. Now again, it's going to be a disagreement because y'all believe it's all
No,
physical,
I'm not trying
and
to
our
disagree
side is
now. I'm
no,
really
no, no,
trying to
not
understand because I never heard it.
yeah. What I'm saying is that I'm saying there is going to be a disagreement because I get y'all perspective. Like what it said is physically on both sides. He died physically, resurrected physically. We don't
Well,
see it that way.
you added something I didn't hear before. So I'm just trying to really get what y'all teaching. Like I can't battle you on something or disagree until I understand. So
Yeah,
what
we
you're
don't
saying
believe
is
that the one from 2,000 years ago. No, of course that's not the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was
right,
born.
but you do believe but you do believe
But
that
there was
Elijah.
a Jesus at
No,
that
I get that
time.
part. So I'm past the 2000. I'm only right now with Elijah Muhammad and Jesus connection. I'm trying to see. So y'all do believe that Elijah Muhammad is Jesus, not from 2,000 years ago, but the one that was prophesied to come biblically, correct?
Absolutely, the one that was prophesied to
Okay, can
come.
you substantiate that? Can you substantiate why y'all make that position? Whether you use Bible verses, Quranic verses, I'm just trying to understand why you say that. So it's more so you about to teach me why y'all say that about Elijah Muhammad.
So for me, I would say when you look at the Jews and Jesus at that time and what they was going through and why they was chastising him or calling him blasphemy for what he was teaching or what he was saying. When you look at John 18:12, when it says, you are of your father, the devil, that teaching
That's
of
John
the
8
white
and
man being,
44, just for clarity.
John 8:44, right?
Yeah, I thought you said 18:12. My bad. I apologize. My bad.
Mm-mm, no, John 8, no. John 8:44, when he talks about you are of your father, the devil, that Jesus or that uh, controversy between Jesus and the Jews, you find that within the life of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. What he dealt with the Jews, one who's raised from the dead, who's coming to give sight to the blind, make the deaf hear, giving make the deaf hear, making the dumb speak. So when you look at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it's not just him who is coming to teach us. He has raised up many men and women who has came to teach under that teaching that has raised the dead physically. Now, of course, other people have done this as well, but at the magnitude of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I don't know anybody that has done it at his stage or at his magnitude at that time when black people have been beaten, have been misunderstood. People have been taken completely from the knowledge itself and the reality of God. So that revelation coming through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that is prophesied of him. And when it talks about he will be made in the Quran, made to be as dead, but not as dead, that also is right in line on the Quran side with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is what they was talking about, what he got from the wheel. When the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan came out and spoke about the Joint Chief of Staff, where he said he got it from Elijah Muhammad on the wheel. Everybody called him crazy. Oh, this nigga lying. Oh, he's crazy. Well, how would he know that about what they was planning? And it was true what they was actually planning if he didn't get it from one on the wheel, because he's not in the White House. He doesn't know. So that power or that sweet chariot that's mentioned in the Bible, or the Ezekiel wheel that's mentioned in the Bible, that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had been teaching straight from the Nation of Islam. So I can't
Okay,
give you
so
all of the scriptures. I got to
no,
pull out my
that's
books. I
fine.
got to.
I think I got enough. But here's where now I'll come out of listening to your breakdown. I
So is
understand
he the
exactly where you
offspring
come.
of David? Oh, go ahead.
Wait, hold on. Like so here's where I'll come out of listening mode. So I think I got your understanding. And the reason why I asked that is because a lot of people say that they're the Jesus that was for to come or prophesied to come, but I think they missing the mark. So now you clearly said this is not the Jesus from 2,000